All right. So we were requested to look at would these pantheons survive God of Three Kratos by Roga Rabid.
No, 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 no.
Uh,
Well, we were requested by Rock and Alice to watch this video by Roger Rabbit. There we go.
oh
Thank
yeah.
you, Rock and Alice.
Well. Also, yeah. No. I didn't.
I know that's not what you're trying to say. Yeah.
No. See, I didn't say that incorrectly. I just said we were requested to watch the video. I just didn't say who requested it. But yeah, it would have been. So was Rock and Alice requested this?
Yes. The other one was Pimp Demon, which we
Yes.
forgot to mention that in the video.
That's
Sorry,
fine.
Pimp Demon.
That's fine. That's fine. And you want to know why it's fine? Because that video shouldn't even have existed because there was no reason for a video like that to exist.
Oh my
All right.
goodness.
All right. So let's this is going to be a fun 40-minute video. I'm sure this will be a very reasonable, solid take of scaling across all of these
I'm sure.
respective characters
I'm
and
sure there
pantheons.
will be sufficient evidence to explain how these pantheons, which according to the picture seems to be Marvel's Celestials, the gods of Doom, the gods of Warhammer 40k, and the gods of Ozra, how they're going to survive God of War 3 Kratos. I'm sure we'll see plenty of evidence
All
for
right.
this.
I
Let's
hope you're
get
enjoying your
started.
week. Welcome to another survival challenge, in particular, a God of War survival challenge, and even more particular, a Greek God of War survival challenge. And you might be saying, Ruga, why aren't you using Norse Kratos? Corey Barlog said that Norse Kratos is stronger than Greek Kratos. You're using a weaker version of the character. Is it because you think the Norse games are pieces of shit? No, it is not because I think the Norse games are pieces of shit. I mean, they are pieces of shit, but that's not the reason. The reason is because the entire
Okay,
concept
so we already got a base take at 28 seconds in that the Norse game suck. Base take.
I give it a little bit.
this video is to take Kratos, make him go on a rampage against an entire pantheon of gods, just like he did in God of War 3, and the truth is that Norse Kratos wouldn't do that. He doesn't go on rampages, he doesn't like them. He thinks they're too mean, and he's like a god of peace or something now. He specifically does everything he can to not fight at his strongest, even when his own life and the life of his child is in danger, like when he allowed Thor to fucking kill him at the beginning of the Norse game, even though he knew that Odin was with his son back at the cabin. Yeah, Thor did not have to bring him back to life and resurrect him. He could have just let him fucking die and murdered his son. Kratos knew this was all a possibility and held back anyway. What a bitch. So no, we are using the superior, more powerful, better written version of Kratos back in God of War 3. But
So to be fair, regarding holding back against Thor in Ragnarok, not really important to the video, but I don't really think it's quite fair to say he's holding back. It's just I don't think he really uses that
He's
old
just
strength
weaker.
very often.
He's just weaker. He has not regained his old strength. That's it. But
It's
it
just
is fair to say that he's definitely not the better written version. That's fine.
yeah, but it's just like I don't think it's him intentionally holding back. He just doesn't like he just can't call it out the way he used to be able to.
not wasting up your time. Let's get started. All right, first things first, we gotta talk about Kratos, what's he capable of, what kind of character is he, what's he gonna do, all that kind of stuff. But before we get into that, we need to talk about something because it always comes up every time you talk about anything God of War. This comes up, and I need to bat it aside immediately. I do not care what any creator of this game, whether it's an art director or game designer, whatever, has said about the story outside of the context of the actual games themselves. I understand that Scalar's made up this stupid rule called Word of God, whereas when the author says something, you take it exactly as the author said. It doesn't matter if it contradicts the actual story that he made, you just go with whatever that person says. What you need to understand is the reason why they say this is because scalers are more interested in looking smart as opposed to actually being smart. If you've ever taken any kind of reading course or reading comprehension course or creative writing course, you know that the rule is actually the exact opposite. It's called death of the author. I mean, shit, just join a book club for like a month and you realize very quickly that a lot of authors say a lot of stupid shit after their art comes out that completely contradicts the shit they wrote. It is extremely common for authors' mindset to completely change over time.
Okay. I'm going to respond to this. So no literary comprehension class would ever wholesale advocate the practice of death of the author because they know how retarded it is. It is a genuinely stupid literary position made by a genuinely stupid person.
So to talk about that as well a little bit is they offer you
We made a whole video on it.
as a perspective because that's what literary classes do at higher levels is they offer you different ways to interpret media and literature. Death of the author is talked about, but it's not the only one that's talked about. You choose
It's
your own
certainly
personal
not.
preference of how you want to interpret literature.
it's certainly not advocated the way that like writing styles or certain spelling styles or other age criticisms are talked about more frequently. I would argue in general, it's not really advocated at all outside of maybe very specific college courses because you will never hear about that to the author unless you're actively going around looking for it. And there's a good reason for that. It's because it doesn't logically make any sense. It's not a position to take author statements. That's more so new age criticism. That the author is a completely different story. We talked about that on a whole video.
Yeah, it's also not entirely death of the author isn't entirely to mean that an author doesn't preside over their work in the sense that they can't tell you or clarify things. It was made by a guy who just basically didn't want to feel bad about the fact that he liked fiction from someone who had a different political belief than him.
Yeah, he just used it to basically erase any sort of agency he had for his actions as a writer or an author, or to erase any agency that other people had. And he also wanted to misconstrue the nature of like what a reader was in the context of like a story, which is that's a huge problem. But as far as power scalers coming up with word of God to justify their standards, power scalers use word of God to justify their standards. Power scalers are not the ones that created it. No, that they've writers have been using
Ethereal
writers for a
intent and
very long time.
ethereal sort of like superiority, I guess would be the best way I could say it. I know there's a term for it somewhere,
That's
but it's
existed for
always
hundreds of
existed.
years.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
existed before Death of the Author and still talked about today. Now, granted, I can definitely understand a position for why you would go against Death of the Author outside of power scaling, but it's not a power scaling thing that started that. Power scalers
It's
exist.
it's a literature position because
It was there for a long time.
power scaling as a hobby is derived from literature and stuff
It's
like that.
basically it's basically like literary analysis just taken to a very specific niche.
Hang on.
Yeah, you good. Now to clarify regarding how you want to take Death of the Author for power scaling, personally, I don't think that's very fair, especially because they're usually offering clarification. If you are of the opinion they shouldn't be there, well, I disagree with you. I can understand why you would take that, and my opinion or others might change in the future. But for now, I think that like if an author tells me what they intended for something, if it's not clear or if they're adding more information, that's fine. Because
So,
I'm assuming I know why he's claiming death of the author,
oh yeah,
and if
I
if
know why.
if it is the reason I think it is, since I haven't seen this video yet, he's in for a bit of a shock as to whether or not the games actually disagree with the authors.
So I'm gonna point out exactly why and character. I'm gonna point this out right now. I'll go on a little bit of spiel, but only for like a minute, and then we can resume.
No, no, Malin,
There are two
I've
reasons.
already resigned myself to the fact it's going to be 3 hours. Don't worry, continue, continue.
There are two reasons why you would advocate death of the author, and both of them are slimy. The first reason is the reason Roga is bringing up right now, which is that he doesn't want it in because an author would directly point out the information that lines up with what the story says that interferes with his interpretation of the work. And he is probably just not comfortable with that. The second reason is for power scalers. And that's because power scalers also have their interpretation get interfered with by the work, and they dishonestly want to claim something else. Uh, the last thing I will say is just that for God of War in particular, you definitely need like Death of the Author for a lot of like there is a lot of statements and a lot of context that is only provided from the writers, and there's not really a grounds to contradict them. There's also plenty of information that corroborates their claims in the games and the novels.
I would like to be clear for a minute as well. At least I can't speak from Angler, but for myself, I don't necessarily subscribe to the idea that authors can't be wrong about their own series. They can
I
be,
don't believe that
but
either.
okay, but for the purposes of God of War, um, you tend to find that when you look at all the evidence, the author statements they provide are a lot more in line with what the games provide you rather than not.
It also is important to consider that it depends on how the series is written. If the series is intentionally written to either be mysterious, vague, or is intentionally written to be specific, but the characters in the story are written to be non-credible sources that don't know what they're talking about, you kind of have to have an author or an outside piece of material like a guidebook clarify, because the people in the world can't be trusted to be reliable, or the statements can't be taken to be literal.
So then, all right, with all that touched on, and again, we do have a link
Yes.
to the author video, a bigger one that goes into that whole discussion, reading the actual essay as well in that video, I believe, if I remember correctly. I think it was like 2 years
Yes.
ago.
Yes,
Let's
go. Please go read that. Please go read that if you haven't. Not necessarily our video, but read Death of the Author.
All right, let us continue with what his position is.
Right, certain things they've written, or change their minds about certain things and say a bunch of stuff about it after the fact.
Okay, also to clarify as well, since we were harping on about that the author for a little bit, he is 100% right though that authors will change their positions as time goes on and change their minds, and that can lead to the deterioration of value of a piece of media. There's actually one example that
Yeah.
I'm not going to bring up here, but yeah, he is right about this. Like if this is his genuine wholesale position, there's nothing wrong with it. But because he's using it for God of War, I'm very curious as to. Well, I know why.
In no way aligns with what's actually on the written page. This
You're
is
holding
extremely
on
common.
hope.
The
All right, hang on, I'll go back a little bit.
after the fact that in no way aligns with what's actually on the written page. This is extremely common. The word of God rule is fucking stupid and only exists because scalers don't actually read. I mean, good for them, they're not gay, but they aren't very smart either. It's the same situation with the whole no limits fallacy thing. In scaling, they have this fallacy called the no limits fallacy, which is basically like if you argue that a character has limitless power, and it's like this whole thing. That's stupid. It's not a fallacy. It's not a real fallacy. They just made it up. And the reason why they made it up is because they don't know what the actual fallacies are, and they don't know that there are actually several fallacies that could be describing what they're talking about. They just don't actually want to learn anything and actually know things that sound like they know.
To be fair to him, the no limits fallacy specifically is not actually a real fallacy. Yeah, that's right. That's fair. That is a stupid position.
That was made by power scalers to argue for the idea that you cannot assert higher degrees of ultimately power. It's for power.
Yeah, it's meant to be a cap for people's positions if they don't have direct statements, which goes against basic literary interpretation of like any given series, because sometimes a series is intended to portray a character as being disgustingly broken, and you just kind of have to accept that.
Yeah. Most scalers operate with the idea of a no limits fallacy, myself included. I don't know if I'll change my mind on that in the future, but for now, I also kind of agree to the idea that you should have a lot of proof that they could go to those high numbers before you just say it. Otherwise, a lot of characters you can just argue just gets out of.
Also, he talks a lot about they just don't read, I guess, and I'm like, okay, I hope since you recognize how important reading is, I hope you stick to that. Because there's a lot of reading you got to do for God of War.
I'd also like to point out, well, I'm sure he's correct about fallacies. I never took a debate course in college, and I haven't looked into logical fallacies myself yet. So, because I kind of like stopped debating like 4 years ago. Is he going to provide? Now we'll see if he does. But is he going to provide a fallacy that would fit that condition, or at least like argue for it? Is he just going to say they exist and then just move on? Because, I mean, listen, if I was to call someone out like this and being like, oh, there are others that can do exactly what you're going to say, I would drop some names personally. I would find some information there.
They just don't actually want to learn anything and actually know things. They want to sound like they know things. So they just make shit up. The fact of the matter is that there are so many statements made by so many different creators of God of War that directly conflict the series, including many statements by Cory Barlog. He has a really bad habit of saying really dumb shit that does not in any way align with the shit that happens in the game. Good example is one that I already kind of touched on, where he said that Norse Kratos is actually stronger than Greek Kratos, despite the fact that God of War Ragnarok directly states that he's weaker because he lost all of his magic power due to him destroying the world in the Greek games, and the magic of Greece was tied to the land, so by destroying the land, he destroyed all the magic, which by itself doesn't make any fucking sense, because if he destroyed the land and killed everyone, who the hell was he releasing the power of hope to at the end of?
Okay, so pausing here for a minute at 3:58. Well, actually, I'll let him finish. Just
God of War 3. Or how did the power of hope even fucking exist since all the magic was destroyed? Because the power of hope is Greek magic. Like, how the fuck does he even have the Blades of Chaos if all the Greek magic was destroyed with the land? Blades of Chaos are also Greek magic. Okay, I'm not gonna.
So going over his after his whole rant with Corey Balrog, a few things to touch on. Number one, I completely agree with this position that Corey's statement that God of War Ragnarok Kratos is the strongest is fucking stupid. I 100% agree with this position. Uh,
It was actually just God of War 4 Kratos, but yeah,
whatever, whatever, whatever,
it's stupid.
whatever. Tomato, tomato. They're the same fucking Kratos. Ultimate. I know
Yeah,
that.
the same
The
fucking Kratos. Go
point is
ahead.
this valid crash out, but going over
Number two.
the other statements regarding the Blades of Chaos still having power, Ren basically implies that the source of power for the Blades of Chaos is different from the Greek magic, because I think Surtur implies there's primordial fire in his blades.
He doesn't imply it. He flat out states it. It doesn't
So
come from the land. It comes from the chaos that precedes the pantheon. So that's why
yes.
it still works. It
So
is the
those
exception that proves the rule.
Yes, those are directly given a in-lore explanation for why they still work. As for the magic and the land situation, this one gets weird
That's
because I think it is implied that the Greeks did survive after the events of God of War 3. I think in Ragnarok or in 4, they actually touch on that with, I think, like a vase that shows Kratos killing Zeus or something. I could be
I
wrong
would
on that.
argue. I would argue even God of War 3 implies that because even if you think he destroys the world, everything that Ascended Athena says indicates they're still alive because she gets super upset when you release hope to humanity. She's infuriated by it.
Also,
But like that wouldn't make sense if humanity didn't survive.
to clarify as well, in the comics, Kratos goes to Egypt, and Athena still has her power and everything there. Now, of course, you could argue Athena ascended to just a different plane, so she's not tied to Greece anymore. But um, it is weird that destroying the land destroys the magic, especially since it's heavily implied Greece would still be there to some extent. Because again, it didn't get destroyed completely. But
It's
again,
just they destroyed most of the gods,
it's
but
really
yeah.
fucked up afterwards. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say it's in a good condition, but like, yeah,
Also, why is he upset about the land thing? That's not a statement made by Cory Barlog. That's a direct statement provided in the games by Freya.
it's a good question, actually. Let me go back here because did he just
And
confirm?
that game wasn't even directed by Cory Barlog.
Sense because if you
He did
destroy the
just
land,
some
you killed everyone, and you destroyed
oversight
all the
on writing, but that did not come from him.
Okay,
He only directed God of War 4.
hang on. Let me go back to his rant a little
him
bit.
destroying the world in the Greek games, and the magic of Greece was tied to the land, so by destroying the land, he destroyed all the magic, which by itself doesn't make any fucking sense, because if he destroyed the land and killed everyone, who the hell was he releasing the power of hope to at the end of God of War 3? Or how did the power of hope even fucking exist since all the magic was destroyed, because the power of hope is Greek magic? Like, how the fuck does he even have the Blades of Chaos if all the Greek magic was destroyed with the land? Blades of Chaos are also Greek magic.
So regarding the power of hope, does he still have that at Ragnarok?
There are some author statements that he has. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't mean
Because
anything because he wouldn't have most of it.
if he still has the power of hope, you would just argue the power of hope probably just precedes the pantheon, and which again, look, there are a lot of stupid retcons in God of War. Ignoring the author statements, when the other pantheons became more prominent and more confirmed in the lore, God of War's mythology made a lot less sense.
You mean when they were just introduced?
Yes, but because like the Norse pantheon was hinted at in like Ascension, but it wasn't like that was just
No,
like a fun little Easter egg.
it was never hinted on. What they told you was that the Norse, like, yes, you might have assumed that maybe there were like Norse gods, even though that comes exclusively from the multiplayer and is not featured in the game at all.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's
At
hinted
least
at because they give you Mjolnir in the multiplayer.
yeah, but they also have pictures of like the three's wise men and like the birth of Jesus Christ. There are other like famous things that are presented in like
That reminds me of those Jesus memes where like Kratos meets Jesus and gets forgiven. It was just like a whole meme section for a while.
yeah, there's a ton of murals and things like that, but they were never established to be pantheons with the same system
Yeah.
as this
So
one.
basically, the more fleshed out the world building became, the less sense a lot of stuff made. That's not Cory Balrog's fault entirely. If we're talking author statements, that would be the games themselves doing this, not necessarily the authors doing. Or well, I mean, yeah, the authors are the ones writing the story, but it's not
So
author statements
what
doing this; it's the games doing
what
it.
what what made it, the reason he blames Cory Barlog is because Cory Barlog is the one who directed God of War 4. And God of War 4 is the first one that officially acknowledged other pantheons exist. And he's the one that created the vision for how the pantheons were supposed to exist on the planet. And that pisses off a ton of God of War scalers.
Yes.
Like Ruga.
Let's continue.
Magic. Okay, I'm not gonna get into Norse. The games are written really shitty. The Norse games are fucking terrible. I'm not getting into it. My point
Again, valid Norse game hate, valid.
is that even outside of the Norse games, Cory Barlog has said a lot of shit that just straight up isn't true when you actually play through the games. He at one point said that Greek gods get stronger as they get older. This was sort of his defense for saying that Norse Kratos was stronger than Greek Kratos. That's not true because the strongest of the Greek gods, Zeus, was the youngest of his three brothers. We know this in the game. It's very clearly shown.
Okay, so
That's he misunderstood what that means. All Cory would have said is that they get stronger with age. That doesn't mean that the younger you are, the weaker you are in comparison to other people.
Yeah.
It just means the weaker you are in comparison to your older version of yourself.
Yeah,
it's not referring to all age and all contexts.
Yeah,
so it seems like he's the one that has problem breathing.
The issue with his interpretation here is that he is assuming that all gods start at the same level and that older gods will always be stronger than younger gods. But Zeus could have just been way stronger than his brothers. I think it's implied that they are comparable to him and he's just stronger, but he could have just been stronger than them. No?
He's always presented as stronger than them in the series and has better feats than them for no particular reason.
Well, the point is that like they don't all start at the same level and then go up. Zeus has just been stronger than them, and that's just the way it worked.
Like he's a 10 on a scale of 10, and they're 8s. Like that has nothing to do with their age.
Yeah, the age wouldn't matter there. What you would assume is that the Zeus we fought, if he had like an extra 100 years, the 100-year later Zeus would be stronger than the one we fought, presumably. But that wouldn't matter for any relations to his brothers being older than him or not.
Also, this is kind of what I would say logically fallacious to use in the context of Norse Kratos. Because the difference between Norse Kratos and Greek Kratos, as we pointed out, is most of the Greek homeland is destroyed. Most of it's underwater. Even if you say humanity's still there, most of the gods have died. A lot of the magic is gone. And Kratos basically stabbed himself with a blade of Olympus, draining out most of his godly abilities. So he's not normal Kratos at that time. Like if we argue he's 200 years old, okay, he's not 200 years worth of strength for himself. He power nulled himself by taking out his power at the end of God of War 3. So because he artificially inflated or changed his level of power, he would be weaker in the Norse pantheon despite being older. Unless you could prove he could jump that gap. So using Kratos as an example is not a contradiction to the age statement. Because like he's a special case.
Also, if you want to go with older god being stronger god, Thor is younger than Odin, and Thor's also implied to be on the level of people like Zeus based on the statement given, and Odin stabbed him once and killed him instantly. I don't subscribe to that position personally, but like if you need a direct example of older god being stronger, the Norse pantheon does have one for you.
I would also say the Titans kind of reinforce that position if you want to say that it's older in any context. That's not what he's saying, or at least not what Cory Barlog, he's claiming Cory Barlog's saying. But the Titans, on average, are way stronger than the gods. And they're much older than the gods are.
Because the novels, not the games, heavily imply.
The games too. The games too, because we literally see some random fire titan one-shot Helios in his hand.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about Helios being a fraud. You're right. All right,
fifth strongest Olympian eliminated by a no-name titan.
Wasn't it like Prometheus who got him or something?
No, it was just some random fire type. We don't even know his name.
I'm pretty sure I was. No, because
Prometheus.
Still, right?
The Prometheus is still tied up, being eaten by the bird.
Oh no! Well, no, you cook Prometheus alive. He dies. I'm pretty sure you save him technically.
Yeah, technically, but whatever.
All right, let's continue.
Time and time again, and we visually see it. He single-handedly beats all the Titans by himself and was the only person capable of defeating Kronos. So if you're watching,
Hold on. Can I go back to that? Can I go back to that Zeus Glaze real quickly?
single-handedly beats all the Titans by. This is stated time and time again, and we visually see it. He single-handedly beats all the Titans by himself
Stated time
and
and
was the
time
only
again, we
person
visually
capable
see
of
it.
defeating Kronos. So if you're watching this video,
Okay. Regarding Zeus beating all the Titans single-handedly, he BFR'd them. He did not beat them in a fight. He created a weapon that yanked all their asses to the lowest pit of hell.
He showed up with a Deus Ex Machina weapon that is stated in the guides to not even come from the original Greek lore. So it is something that they just created solely for the purpose of saying he could win the Titan War. We don't know how he made it. There's no explanation provided, and he just shows up and is like, Deus Ex Machina, go, and they're all gone. I saying that he single-handedly beat them is like, that's like saying someone shows up with a nuclear weapon to a battlefield they're clearly losing and activates it and kills the entire like enemy team. And it's like, they took him out single-handedly.
I had the exact same example in my fucking head. I was gonna say it, but you beat me to it. That was the exact example I was gonna use.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's basically it. That's stupid.
Regarding Kronos, correct me if I'm wrong, but was it just didn't they all help jump Kronos, or was that just Atlas who got jump?
They all jumped Kronos. So to be clear, Kronos is fighting Hades and Poseidon at the same time, and Atlas shows up to help him, and then Hades has to come over and attack Atlas to get him off of there so that they can take out Kronos. But they point out in the novel that like when Atlas throws a bunch of boulders at them, if any of them had hit Hades, they would have seriously injured him. The only reason he didn't was because the Fates were interfering with the battle, but that's confirmed in the novel.
Statement, just to clarify.
That's just canon lore. The Titans were supposed to win the Titan Maki. They were gonna beat the gods. They were actually fucking destroying them. It's only because of Zeus showing up with plot device and the Fates literally writing the story in their favor that they won.
Now, whether or not you believe the Titans would have won the second battle or the run back is up in the air, but it's
worth noting that the main feat behind their history is a fraudulent feat.
Yes.
They are frauds.
But as mentioned with Helios was just thrown to a mountainside and was crippled beyond repair.
He wasn't even thrown to a mountainside. He wasn't even thrown to a mountainside. He was flying around, throwing like random projectiles at the Titan that weren't doing shit. And the Titan collapsed his hand around his chariot, one-shot him, and then threw him to the side. So he was crippled before he got thrown in there.
I feel so bad for Zeus that only his brothers were worth damn in that fight and everyone else was fucking trash.
Oh, and I said something and
yeah. Also saying he's the only person capable of defeating Kronos. I mean, if he BFR'd Kronos, that's not true at all. And secondly, I mean, I know Kratos doesn't actually fight Kronos in a fair fight, to be fair. But like
I will argue that while he's in the underworld, that's probably as fair as that fight's ever going to get. And
that's as fair as the fight is ever going to get. It's a little disingenuous to say Zeus is the only one capable of defeating him when Kratos does fight a version of Kronos.
Okay, so let us continue.
You disagree with it, and your reason for disagreeing with it is because some dude at some point said outside of the games that what I'm saying is not true. I'm letting you know now, I don't care. In order to
Okay, and so pausing here at 505, it is valid to let anyone who watches this video know what you'll take as credible information and not, so that way they don't waste their time. I appreciate that. Whether or not I agree with your stance, I do appreciate you at least tell someone up front if you provide me any author statements or anything like this. I don't care for it. All right, thank you for saving people time.
Properly argue with the things.
Yeah, he says I don't think anything outside the games. Well, that's nice that you clarified that. Unfortunately, your opinion doesn't matter. Because the novels are canon, and that is just what your opinion is. So,
in game that contradicts it. In game, in a novel, properly argue with the things.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. He says something about what he
side of the
says.
games that what I'm saying is not true. I'm letting you know now, I don't care. In order to properly argue with the things I'm saying, you're gonna have to show me something in game that contradicts it. In game, in a novel, somewhere in the lore, something that is actually part of the medium, not a fucking Twitter post. So in some ways, I think that Kratos is a lot stronger than people give him credit for. In other ways, I think he's a lot weaker than people give him credit for. Like one of the things I completely disagree with is
wait, he's fine with using the novels?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. Never mind then.
Well,
That's pretty based.
listen. That is a
Already got.
respectable. That is a respectable position that you'll accept the multimedia information. But so
Yeah,
what?
I was gonna say we have plenty of statements for you. We have so many.
All right, let's continue.
We have too many to count, actually.
people argue that this dude is infinite in speed, which, one, I think infinite speed is a complete bullshit concept. In theory, according to some people, infinite speed is when you can travel between two distances and no time passes, which is like teleportation.
That's not infinite speed. That would be inaccessible. Infinite speed would be if you can travel an infinite distance within a finite period of time. That is, I don't know at what point those became combined, but they're two different tiers. Moving between 2 points with no time passing is not infinite speed. They're different.
Teleportation, except you're actually moving through the distance in between, which would just be time stop. That's not a speed at all. There is no speed. If
Which would just be time.
time isn't moving, you can't even calculate speed, because speed is distance and time. Remove the time aspect, you're just in stop time. You should technically all be going the same speed if time's not moving. It's dumb. It's a dumb concept. But let's just say for half a
Okay. So regarding this position, so the problem is that you will have characters who can move at those speeds without ever being given a time stop power or ability. So you, as the audience member, would be adding lore that it does not exist in order to make your feelings on the matter valid. The reason is inaccessible speed and infinite speed a stupid tier of speed? Sure, argue it all you want, 100% respect, whatever. But to give someone temporal powers because their physical speed is faster than what time can move, which again I know sounds stupid. But again, fine. If you don't like it, that's fine. But don't just give them fucking time powers because you don't want to fucking acknowledge that that's just a silly situation.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why. I mean, my standards are a little bit different than Zim's, but that's kind of one of the reasons why I have characters in like Quantum Break moving at temporal speed, because their bodies are literally fueled by chronon particles. They can only move at the speed of time. So while I have a standard for that, that standard almost never gets applied, but it does have to be applied because there's no other way to explain how that character moves at those speeds. It's not possible.
So let's continue.
Second, I'm wrong, infinite speed is a real thing. Why do they say he's infinite speed? Well, there's two reasons. One comes from the Norse games, where basically the Valkyries fly all across all of creation, and creation is multiple universes. That's it. That's the only reason why they say he's infinite as far as the Norse game's concerned. This doesn't make sense to me on many levels. For one, why does that make it infinite speed? Like, what does that matter? Where is the rule in God of War stated that you have to go infinite speed to cross across universal barriers to go to different parts of creation? Like, where is that stated? Also, we don't even know, like, how they're getting there. I mean, technically, Kratos himself is shown walking across all of creation. He uses the fucking tree portal thing to do it. Is he walking at infinite speed? How do we know the Valkyries aren't doing something similar where they're opening up portals to different universes and just flying across them at like normal, reasonable speeds? This one, I think, even for people who do believe in infinite speed, is a massive, massive stretch. There's another argument that people use.
Okay, so he goes with Valkyrie speed feet and
I saw what he said, but I think Rogu, if you're looking for an explanation, they just say that the Valkyries are just using like the Bifrost. So anyone who ever argued that they were infinite speed was absolutely trying to just wank them as high as possible. There was no evidence for them traveling to every point. The evidence that people presented to me was that the Valkyries have to be there for every single battle across the Pantheon simultaneously. Therefore, they're just like in every place at every instant. And I'm like, no, they could just be teleporting.
And even then, since they have access to the Bifrost, they wouldn't even have to move that fast to be everywhere to pick up all the souls. Because you are assuming that every time a person dies, they're immediately there, just pick them up.
Not to mention the faster, once you get to a certain speed, especially if you're approaching the speed of light, time becomes relative to you. So even if you're not moving at the speed of time, you are literally so fast that you don't even need to
Yeah, the faster you move, the slower time moves around you, which was proven.
Yeah, so they could be moving like I don't know 4 or 5 times faster than the speed of sound and be teleporting from realm to realm, and they cover every distance. So that was always like a dumb argument when it came to infinite speed. It was actually argued
Also,
to be immeasurable, funnily enough.
all right, let's continue.
Just from the Greek games, which I think is a little bit better, but still not great. And the answer for that is that there's this move that uses Apollo's light, and Apollo's light is stated to be able to cover all of Hades.
Uses Apollo's light. Uses Apollo's light.
It's yeah. He said Apollo. It's Helios. Like whatever.
Mangler, can you confirm that because it's the guidebook I'm assuming it's referring to where
It's
Helios' light.
it uses Helios's light, not Apollo's light.
Can you just check that scan for me? I just need to make sure that it's not Apollo.
Yeah,
You know,
yes, yes, it
Mister
is
Game Lore
Apollo.
enthusiast over here is telling me it's Apollo's light. Can I get a confirmation of that?
I just want to point out that he said that that's the case for like a game guide, and he's talking about how these people can't read, and yet he doesn't seem to have read enough material to understand that Apollo literally gets no screen time in the Greek game.
To be as fair as possible, that's not while it is a light jab at this guy for his whole lore fucking rant, it's more of a jab at the fact that for whatever fucking reason, Helios is the god of the sun in God of War instead of Apollo. But that's also
Okay, that's
fucking what?
that's just you not understanding Greek mythology. Helios and Apollo switch places in governing the sun all the time in the ritual mythos.
Apollo's sister showed up in God of War 1, but I don't think Apollo ever makes a named appearance anywhere. His boat shows
That's
up
in Chains
somewhere.
of Olympus. Oh wait, no, you're talking about Apollo's sister. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, so his sister shows up in the lore, but he never does. His bow exists, so we assume with Apollo somewhere out there, presumably just being a loser.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I acknowledge he's there. I'm pointing out he has no screen time. So why would you ever bring up Apollo?
It's just funny. It's just funny.
One of the game devs said that Hades is an infinite-sized realm, so the only way for that light to actually cover all of Hades means that it must have.
One of the game devs said Hades is an infinite-sized realm. Was that a game developer statement only?
No, no. So the statement comes from a guidebook that said that shows someone describing a visual of Hades, and they say in the visual you can see this like infinite distance in the background, and they argue to be like, it's literally infinite in size. I'm like, you understand that when they say that, they're talking about what they can see in the visual, right? You can't see infinity. Okay, it's just a description to refer to how much space there is, because infinite can also mean a large amount of space.
Okay.
One of the game devs said that Hades is an infinite-sized realm, so the only way for that light to actually cover all of Hades means that it must have infinite speed. Otherwise, it would just be traveling forever and not get to the edges of Hades. You then acquire this Apollo's light as a weapon, and if you use it against Hermes, you literally can't.
You then acquire this Apollo's light as a weapon. Hey, Mangler, what's the light weapon you use in God of War 3? Who are you using again?
Just continue. I don't want to. I don't want to bring this.
I'm sorry. Listen, you can't stand on your high horse with all that lore that you love so much, and then miss fucking and then dead name Helios. I'm sorry. Fucking Helios did not die for this.
Hit him like it's programmed that every time you try to hit him with
yeah,
it,
you're correct. He died for nothing.
Hermes would also be infinite speed. You then eventually beat Hermes in a fight, take his boots, wear them yourself, where you then get the speed of.
So to be as fair as possible, the Helios light situation. There is one other piece of evidence. I don't think he's gonna mention it here, but Hercules can also react to the beam of light before it hits him. So there's two people who can technically do that in the game.
I want to point out that actually in both of those examples, you hit them with the light. We don't see them really react to it.
Hermes. Ergo, since Kratos was able to hit Hermes in the first place, that means that he was already infinite, and then when he wore the boots, that made him even, like, more infinite.
Yeah, okay, so I think I already know what he's going to say. I'm at 738. But scaling to Hermes was always weird for God of War fans, mainly because, yes, you are able to fight him, but you have to injure him substantially in order to even get close to him, and even then, he's still faster than you throughout the entire fight. In fact, if I remember correctly, the only way you ever actually start mutilating him is he jumps at you, and while he's in the air, you can react to him. I believe
So
that's
you can only hit him specifically because when you swing the chain blades around, due to the way that they're programmed in the game, your hitboxes are so large they just happen to hit him as he's running around you carelessly. If he was just better about fighting, he wouldn't be getting hit by them at all.
all right. Let's
And
continue.
even then, like attack by attack, he is consistently faster than you. You're not able to grab him or do anything to him in terms of individual hits.
Let's continue.
Agree with any of this for many, many.
And I got another ad.
Many reasons. For one, the game dev that said that Hades was infinite in size, that's not at all what he said. For one, it was a concept artist, not game director, not writer, just the guy who wrote the art. And the only evidence that they had is that in the God of War art book, there's a little description that he wrote next to one of the pictures he was drawing of Hades, where he said he was trying to draw Hades in a way that made it seem as if it was infinite. It just went on endlessly.
Yeah, so Mangler already mentioned how that interpretation.
I think it is a massive stretch to take this statement from a concept artist and say that just because he says he was trying to give the feeling that is infinite, that it went on infinitely, that means confirmation 100% that Hades is infinite in size. So as far as I'm concerned, the entire starting point of this argument is on extremely shaky ground right off the bat. But even outside of that, none of this.
No, you know what? I'm at 825. I gotta say, I don't know. This guy doesn't seem that bad. This guy seems pretty good.
It makes sense, like across the board. When Hermes has the boots, he's so fast that Kratos can't even touch.
You just say that because he disagrees. He's a very casual power scaler, so he doesn't like infinite speed or anything like that. So
I don't know. I've seen a lot of God of War scalers. This guy seems to be pretty good so far. I don't know.
He's
maybe I judged his initial rant too harshly.
Considerably faster. It's only after Kratos gets in a trap.
give it time.
The building that Hades is in, that it collapses on top of him, damaging his legs, which means he can only use his speed in very short bursts, and then that's when Kratos is actually capable of fighting him. The lore of God of War also states that the Titan Hyperion is the fastest of all the Titans. And there's an ability that you can get in God of War Ascension that is called Essence of Hyperion, where in the description of the ability, it literally just straight up says that it allows people to move at light speed. Considering that we see that the Titans and gods outside of Zeus are capable of fighting each other on par, and the absolute 100% fastest Titan is only light speed, this would make it not make sense if characters like Apollo and Hermes were infinite, Kratos was infinite, all these characters were infinite, when the absolute fastest Titan is only light speed. That doesn't make any sense. What is far more likely is that this statement by the concept artist about Hades being infinite is literally just him saying that he's drawing it to make it.
Hold on. So at 927 then. All right, so we're going to be capping God of War at light speed. All right, interesting.
Kind of seem like it's infinite.
So I want to point out that that's, to be fair, that's not really that. Like I scale God of War below light speed, but I was going to say that the speed of Hyperion doesn't really considered valid because the speed of Hyperion is actually a teleporting ability. If you check most of Ascension's multiplayer. While it does allow you to travel with the speed of light, it pushes you through the air in a specific way, allowing you to do that. So that's not like a
just to clarify for a minute, so does Kratos get it or do the multiplayer characters get it?
Only the multiplayer characters get it.
Okay, so why would we assume then that would be a determining factor in the cap of that Titan speed? Would we just assume anyone who receives a blessing from Zeus would automatically scale to Zeus's AP if he gives them a lightning bolt? Like, is that how that works then? Do we just scale 1-to-1 with the god in that particular category now if we receive their blessing? I'm not calling it out. I'm just like asking, like, is that how it's been interpreted? Is that how God of War states it? Like, if I get to use Zeus's lightning bolt, am I now 1-to-1 with Zeus's AP, or is my lightning bolt weaker than Zeus's? It's just the same technique. Like, is this like how does that one work? If that's how it works, that's fine. I'm just genuinely asking that question because I don't know if that would be entirely correct. Just being honest here. Is that ever
continuing on?
All right.
As if it goes on forever, and that's literally all it means. He's not being literal here. This would mean that the light of Apollo is just light speed, Hyperion is just light speed, and Hermes could be light speed. Perhaps he's a little faster since you can't hit him with the Apollo's light, but he doesn't necessarily have to be faster to be dodging it. He could also be light speed. It just seems like with all these different hints, the consistent thing here is that shit moves at light speed and characters are capable of dodging shit that moves at light speed. That's it. It's also important to note that Hermes is literally the only character that's shown being able to dodge Apollo's light. Nobody else can do it. Not Kratos, not Zeus, literally no one. It's only Hermes.
Okay, pause. So I want to point out that you can't even use Hermes, he's not really saying this because this isn't his position. He's responding to it. I understand that. But just for clarification for any of the Roku viewers, if you manage to watch this one when it comes out, Hermes doesn't actually have the ability to just auto dodge it completely. On the higher difficulties, you can hit him with the ability. So normally it wouldn't be a refutation to say that like you could hit a character with an ability if we were talking about like resistances, but the claim is that you can't hit Helios with the ability. Meaning if I can demonstrate one instance of someone being able to do it, then he's not fast enough to dodge the ability.
To clarify, even though Mangler disagrees, I'm just saying this for Devil's sake, since Devil's won't show it to me. You could make the argument that Hercules can also react to the light.
Oh, okay, it's not a disagreement. Devil is blind. So the way the ability works, no. So Devil's blind, and I'll explain why. So if you pay attention to the scene and you activate Helios's light, when it shines, so much of the screen is covered that you can't even see what Hercules is doing, and by the time the flash ends, his arm is up. So you're assuming he put his arm up in the interim. We have no way of knowing that.
Maximum God.
Let's continue.
God of War universe, Hermes might be slightly faster than Light. More than likely, he probably is light speed to match Hyperion's light speed movement, who is the previous fastest character before we met Hermes. And every other character is probably a pretty reasonable speed level. So the whole infinite speed argument for
hold on. So, well, I'm gonna hold on to this and see if he mentions
Kratos. It just doesn't make sense. You're ignoring too many things, and you're going off of two very vague statements. So yes, Kratos with the boots of Hermes, which to be fair, at the end of God of War 3, the version of Kratos that we are using does have Hermes boots, so he should be light speed. In terms of strength, however, I think there's a much better.
Okay, so we're not talking about speed anymore. Why do you not mention that Zeus is able to hit Hermes with his lightning bolt in the novel, I believe? Like, I understand there's an argument you can make for why Hermes didn't dodge it, but, like, why not mention it and, like, I guess refute it early?
You're assuming he read the novels.
That's fair. Let's continue.
Argument to be made that Kratos himself is, if not infinite in strength, close enough, like so strong to the point that he might as well be infinite. The reason why I say this is because one of the PSP games, I'm not going to say the title right, I always get the two PSP games titles confused. It's the one with Atlas and Persephone is trying to destroy the whole universe. I have an Earth crash into Hades by destroying the world pillar. That game, you know what I'm talking about. If you remember the title, put it down, but I always get them confused. Point is that in this game, it is directly stated that by destroying the world pillar, it's not just Earth that falls. Earth falls, Olympus falls, and the cosmos falls. And the novels do say that the cosmos in the God of War universe is infinite. Now, is this like metaphorical or just like flowery language where it's so big we're just going to call it infinite? That's possible, but the fact of the matter is it is still the cosmos. It's still tons and tons and tons and tons of stars. It's a lot of shit. Basically, in God of War, in the Greek games, the cosmos essentially sits on top of Zeus' sky. Zeus' sky sits on top of Olympus. Olympus sits on top of Earth. Earth sits on top of Hades. You get it. By Atlas being able to lift all of this up, he's literally lifting up the entire universe as we know it in the God of War games, and Kratos is the one that overpowers him and forces him to hold that up. Now, he does overpower him one arm at a time. It's not like he takes the full force.
So, first of all, he doesn't overpower Atlas at any point in time. Later on in God of War 2, even when he's a stronger Kratos, like 10 or so years later, well, technically it's like fallen god Kratos, but whatever. Atlas literally crushes him in his hands with his fingers. He doesn't scale to Atlas at all. Secondly, there you go, Zim. There's your uni Kratos. I told you it'd take you if you take long enough. So he's holding up all the cosmos and the God of War universe as far as we know. As far as the Greeks know, the Greeks just assume that the world they're living in is the universe. But as you yourself have clarified, you can just walk to the next pantheon. Like they're all just taking place on one planet. It's just a country. That's the only thing he's holding up. He's just holding up Greece.
Yeah, the world pillar was always a weird situation because even if you believe that it's holding up the entire universe as well,
that doesn't matter.
Because how do you reconcile that with the other games existing? Did Atlas just survive the destruction of the Greek pantheon, stuck in the world pillar? Is he still holding up the world pillar now, even though everyone else is basically dead?
Secondly, they don't scale to universe in durability, even if you believe that, even without the Norse games included. Because Chained of Olympus, the one that you're sourcing there, Roga, it's made abundantly clear in the cutscenes that if they drop the world pillar, all of the gods will die. Yes. They do not scale to the Pantheon. The Pantheon will literally kill them if it's dropped on them.
Best case argument here is they can physically hold up the Pantheon, and if the Pantheon were to fall on them, which would be mainly weight there, or like assuming you don't think there's an explosion or anything, it would kill them. Everyone would die.
So they scale well below the universe, and the infinite statements he's referring to, those aren't quite valid from the novels. The ones in the guides the ones in the guides for the underworld are fine. The ones in the novels regarding to the infinite sky, that would just be, I would just assume that is hyperbole.
All right, let's continue.
Of Atlas, he takes one arm at a time and forces it up, and then ties it to the top of the fucking Earth so he can hold it all up. And since Atlas has 4 arms, I guess you could say he's like 1/4 the strength of Atlas, but 1/4 the strength of a dude who lifts up the entire cosmos and Earth.
1/4 the strength of Atlas. How do I say something that makes sense? It's not that he really overpowers Atlas. He kind of just yanks the arms up, but he does it really fast. It's kind of like by the time Atlas realizes what's going on, Atlas is already trapped. Like Atlas is trying to fight him, but I don't think he quite. I don't want to pull up the fight right now on the YouTube video, but let's assume he overpowers him. But I don't think that's entirely fair to say because I remember how that fight went down. Go on.
To say he's even 1/1000th of the strength is kind of generous because a later Atlas that's been there for like decades without his. I want to point out, like, Atlas also doesn't have his soul because according to God of War 2, it was ripped out of his body and he's been imprisoned in the wall. And then he got put under the world pillar and now he's holding up the world. Yeah, at least the world as the Greeks interpret it.
An incredibly weakened Atlas was able to do all these things.
And so in God of War 2, when Kratos goes down there and Atlas decides to crush him, what the novel clarifies, which even if you didn't use the novel, the game literally shows that you have to play a QuickTime event to pull yourself out of Atlas's fingers while he is crushing you to death. The novel makes it clear that Kratos is blacking out and he's threatening to like be smushed in Atlas's fingers. Atlas is only using 2 fingers in his entire hand while he's holding up the entire world with the rest of his body. So he's incredibly weakened and he's using a small fraction of his strength. That is not 1/4 of his strength. That would be many, many times weaker than that. Right, you are literally an ant to him.
Let's see if that's referenced.
Earth and all this is still super fucking impressive. So even if you want to say the infinite size of the cosmos is just sort of flowery metaphorical language, it's still a lot. The dude is still lifting up like galaxies, or at bare minimum like 1/4 of a galaxy, by him overpowering Atlas. It's still very, very impressive. And it should be noted that this is without him using Spartan Rage or the Power of Hope, both of which multiply his power a significant amount, not small. Like, it's literally a multiplication type of thing. There are characters shown.
Do you have a statement to prove it's a multiplication type of thing?
Yeah, I would love a statement for that because I have all the guides and they don't state a single time that like the Rage of Titans or the Power of Hope does that for you. So I'd love a statement for that.
To be
that's an assumption.
I'm not disagreeing with Power of Hope being a massive power up, but if we're going to argue a multiplier here, can I get a source for that?
Yeah, you could say it's stronger. No one's comparable to like that. That's fine. I would just love a source.
Being able to close to magic and be stronger than.
Okay, hang on. Let's back up.
Small, like it's literally a multiplication type of thing. There are characters shown being able to close to match or even be stronger than him that are completely fucking destroyed when he taps into these powers. Nor does that include the fact that Kratos.
Okay, so just to clarify, we have an example of an older Kratos. Well, granted, weakened, but even then, that weakened version of Kratos. Well, actually, when Kratos fights Atlas, is he the God of War or no?
No, he's not. He's the fallen god, but they make it a point that he's not weaker than he was at the end of God of War 1.
No, my apologies. Let me clarify. In the PSP game, has he become the God of War when he fights Atlas? Not in God of War 2.
No.
Okay, yeah.
So no, he's not.
Yeah. Well.
Has actually gotten stronger in each consecutive game, so much.
Yes, Kratos does get stronger.
So the developer of each God of War game actually makes his combos a little bit faster, just slightly, not enough for you to really notice, because they want to give the subliminal messaging to you that he's actually becoming a better fighter and getting stronger as the games go on.
Do you have a statement for the God of War creators making his combos a little bit faster as a lore thing?
Also, why are we using the creators now? I thought those weren't okay. So like we can't use their statements, but like we can we can imply their intentions in the games to the gameplay mechanics.
So, because it has to be an implied intention. Because if the God of War creators say they do that, then that would break his rule about not using understatements.
That would break the mold of our interpretations, and thus we'd have to invoke death of the author or whatever.
Something that they literally did in God of War 1, 2, and 3. They made
You cheeky bastard. But I jumped on the same fucking loops or whatever.
each of his combos slightly faster. This means that Kratos' absolute bare minimum at base
I'm
is
sorry.
a cosmic.
No. I get it. I mean, I was right there on that shit too. I was.
Well,
Yeah, I get it.
he keeps bringing up the infinite thing, and I'm like, bro, for a guy that's so against infinite speed, you seem really willing to adopt the infinite as like a concept when referring to the cosmos.
Are we on a loop of clips? Because I've seen this girl's backside like 10 times already.
We are.
Was it really that hard to boot up God of War 3 and play some fucking missions, bro? Come on now.
Bro, I love that he keeps using the scene with Gaia, or she's like, "You're not meant to die here, Kratos," and she does that weird back turn with her neck.
Also, wait.
It just looks so cursed.
Now that I think about it, have we gotten a single scan this whole video?
No, not a single one.
You know what? I will give credit to the editing. The editing actually distracted me from the fact that we haven't received a single scan yet. I just realized that because I saw this.
Congratulations, because it distracted 10,000 other people that regularly watch his videos.
That's
right. And potentially, if you take the whole.
To be fair, though, while he's providing scans on screen, quite a bit of what he's saying has been at least somewhat truthful. He's just omitting a lot, which is interesting.
Infinite Cosmos statement, literally. He literally has infinite strength, and there's just no limit to how hard he can fucking hit somebody. And before people want to dive into the Norse games again.
So infinite strength and no limit to how hard he can hit somebody. Bro, this man.
Okay, so you can have infinite lifting strength, but infinite speed is dumb. Okay, yeah, no, fuck out of here.
No, I don't.
That's dog water.
Right. I believe he's multiversal. No, I do not believe that Thor and Jormungandr splitting a piece of the world tree makes them multiversal. We don't even know the durability of the world tree. While yes, the world tree does house multiple universes, why is splintering a piece of it mean that you're breaking the multiverse?
So, okay.
Like if I take a sledgehammer, go out my backyard, and break up some concrete, since that's a part of Earth, can you say that I have the power to destroy the planet Earth?
So let me clarify something here regarding higher dimensional objects for a minute. Because technically, the reason splintering the world tree, and I don't agree with this argument, because I don't think the world tree even gets splintered in the actual canon event, because we see what happens in Ragnarok. But the reason that argument existed was because they were arguing the world tree was a higher dimensional object.
Construct.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you could just, if you have space-time interaction, which Kratos in the Norse pantheon does demonstrate because he can close the rifts, you don't have to be like multiversal to break a piece off. You would just be able to break it because you can interact with those properties, that object.
You also just don't need to have that ability to interact with it, because if you're strong enough to damage the object and it does that to everything else as a byproduct, then that's what happens.
Yeah.
So
valid position, and I agree with that position. I just think that he could explain the arguments a little more for why those arguments exist.
No.
So as far as it housing multiple universes, source?
Down Mangler, focus on what he's agreeing with, not entirely what he disagrees with.
Not what he disagrees with.
He does agree with there being multiple universes, so yeah.
That'd be stupid. There is.
Wait. How would you make that position without
wait.
statements? How would you make the position of multiple universes without author statements? What statement in the games tells you there are multiple universes?
I don't know.
No evidence whatsoever how durable this tree is. For all we know, it just has the durability of a normal tree and then just happens to house a fucking multiverse inside of it. That's fine. Why isn't that possible? It's fiction. You could do whatever. Why are you trying to mathematically?
So hold on a minute. So it's fiction. You can do whatever. But if you can move so fast, time doesn't move. I'm going to give you time stop powers.
I would like to point out he's already admitted people can move faster than the speed of light, which is not possible in reality. It's not possible in reality, but apparently if I were to break a tree that had a multiverse, it would just be tree level, because I don't like the idea of it being multiversal, because it's it's fiction, and that wouldn't make sense, even though it's possible to do things in fiction that aren't possible in reality. Okay.
Guess the durability and just say,
this is what happens when you're super anal about shit. And no disrespect to this guy, not trying to directly insult him. When you're super
Sure.
anal about shit, and then you also have standards that don't line up with how anally you were earlier about things. Then flaws in your logic begin to appear. It's why if you have a standard, you implement it across the board. Which, I mean, as much as you want to give shit to power scalers for no limits fallacies and shit, at least those guys who subscribe to those positions are supposed to have these standards.
We at least have these standards. We have very strict standards for how people get to light and a number of other things. But like, we don't change the standard. No, we do, and I can prove it. But I'm not going to prove it right now. I'm just pointing out that our standards don't just disappear when we scale God of War or any of the series we have. They're the same exact standards for every single verse.
Yes. It's just that it's important to understand that if you're like, well, this can't be a thing, then why are we not applying this elsewhere to everything else? Because strength argument, the fact that Atlas basically almost killing Kratos isn't mentioned at all with his 2 fingers is kind of wild. I'm not gonna lie.
It's like he is lifting strength, and Kratos is a quarter of his strength. But in the same video, listen, guys, infinite speed isn't real because you can't just move at infinity, but you can apparently lift up an infinite amount of mass.
All right, let's continue.
Okay.
The durability is equivalent to destroying universe. That's so weird and random, and like guess the durability and just say the durability is equivalent to destroying universe. That's so weird and random, and like, where are you getting this from? You can't use math to do this because this isn't a mathematical thing. Universes aren't fucking locked in trees. On top of his strength and speed, he has a lot of other powers. For a long time, I argued that Kratos was like one of the strongest characters in all of gaming. He more or less resists every hacks you could possibly think of, from time manipulation to existence.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
All right,
he has one of the worst hacks resistances of any character in fiction.
So, do you want to take it? Do you want to take it one at a time, or do you want to list it all off? Because I just got through time stop.
Yeah, time manipulation to existence erasure.
Okay, so do we go through all of it, or do you want to take them one at a time?
We'll go all through all of it, and then I will list each one and why he's not resistant to them. Because I know he's not going to be resistant to each one of these.
Manipulation, to mind manipulation, fate manipulation, you keep going. Just keep going forever. He has so many resistances to so many different types.
Okay, so only 4? Wow. What?
Drop your fucking load right now, being like, oh, he resists everything. Here's 4 things. Moving on. Hang on, no. But before I say that, let me see if you mentioned some more.
Types of abilities. I'm not gonna list them all because he's gonna make this video 30 minutes longer than already.
Okay, he's not gonna list them all. All right, go ahead, Bangler. The 4.
Okay. So apparently, the more hacks that I could possibly think of just extend to time manipulation, to existence erasure, to death manipulation, to mind manipulation, fate manipulation. Let me explain to you, Rogu, that most creator characters in a series, a lot of characters that can destroy universes or things above universes, even things below universes, can resist most of these abilities. A lot of the characters in your videos have resistances to these, even if you don't acknowledge them. That's not impressive. Secondly, Kratos does not have resistances to death manipulation consistently. No. He's never demonstrated that. I know that position comes entirely from a guidebook, from God of War 3's guidebook, because the River Styx is expected to kill you instantly because it's lethal. Even when he falls into the River Styx, he loses all of his powers and all of his abilities, and I'm pretty sure half of that comes from the fact that he has the power of hope. But he's never really shown to be resistance to death hacks. He doesn't really get hit by that. That's just an assumption how the river works.
What about the daughters of Aphrodite? Wasn't it stated that they kill you if you sleep with them in the first game?
Oh, yeah, because people just misinterpreted that. That, like, if you sleep with the daughters of Aphrodite, like, every man that slept with them has killed them. Like, that's because they have so much stamina, they can sleep with people consistently. And if you were to sleep with a person enough times, that would kill them. Because human beings don't have the ability to just keep having sex repeatedly.
Maybe
As far
she's
as
talking about something.
as far as resistance to time manipulation, no. Play God of War Ascension. He is actively shown to having difficulty fighting Pollux and Caster, and they're not even using time manipulation on him. He never resists it directly.
All right.
Also, I'm pretty sure there are several examples of him getting affected by that. As far as existence erasure, he is never shown to resist existence erasure. In fact, the only statement in the series that is even remotely implied to be something similar to existence erasure is just the trident, or not the trident, the Eye of Atlantis from Ghost of Sparta, and that description comes from a guidebook for Ghost of Sparta that states the lightning basically has the power to destroy both body and soul. You'd be assuming that's existence erasure and not deconstruction of his matter and his soul,
or just body and soul destruction on a more like
level.
Yeah,
Also known as deconstruction. The point is, you're assuming Kratos resists that. He doesn't, because in the same game, they acknowledge if Kratos falls into a pool of water with Poseidon shooting that lightning into the pool of water, Kratos dies. So, no, he doesn't resist that. Mind manipulation, clearly haven't played the games, have you? He gets caught in illusions and people fucking with his mind all across Ascension every single time. Fate manipulation. So this is technically indirectly true, also completely false. So they point out that he is able to somewhat get around the powers of the Sisters of Fate. Yes, which people assume to be fate manipulation. However, the Sisters of Fate point out that that is only exclusively due to the power of hope. And secondly, the Sisters of Fate don't really manipulate your fate. That's just a nominal fallacy. People argue they manipulate fate because they're called the Sisters of Fate. That's not how their abilities work. The novel clarifies that what they do is that they basically manipulate a thread that changes how your body moves and acts of its own accord, and basically makes it carry out a certain number of decisions and circumstances. People argue that is effectively fate manipulation, but fate manipulation is more like manipulating cause and effect and not your body directly. They just call it fate because that's what they interpret it as being. Their interpretation is wrong based on what it is defined to be. And no.
But the dude has a lot of resistances.
So.
No, you're right.
I would argue he has more resistances than he has just outright powers, and he has a lot of.
He has more resistances than he has outright powers. Bold position, but let us.
He is what did he say?
He said he has more resistances than outright powers.
That's so wrong.
Well, to be fair, if we assume most of Kratos' powers are not his own and they come from weapons, we might be onto something here.
Oh my god, no! Don't say that.
But the dude has
he's not going to listen, then I won't respond to him. That's fine.
He has more resistances than he has just outright powers, and he has a lot of outright powers. He himself can stop time. He himself can affect fate. He himself.
He himself can. Wait. He himself can stop time. He himself can affect fate.
Can I get a source for that time stop that Kratos himself can do, please? Can I get a source for that? No god power or amulet. Can I get a source for he himself stopping time?
He himself can affect fate. Source? Because even the Sisters of Fate, who believe their powers are fate, I've already explained why they aren't. They're just body control. But even they are like, yeah, this is probably not Kratos. This is actually the power of hope.
Well, okay, so Mangler, can you think of any example of where Kratos himself, without any amulet or power granted to him, can stop time?
No. There are only two abilities where he's able to manipulate time, and that is the Amulet of Ouroboros. Well, I guess three: the Amulet of Ouroboros and the Amulet of Fates, both of which are specific items he needs to stop time, and that one ability in Ragnarok, that runic thing that allows you to stop someone. But he always needs a piece of equipment to do it.
Yes, and then there's also the realm shift he can do with that's
what it is. That's what I was referring to.
It's with that fucking that Glazer's sword. He needs the hilt of Balder, not Balder.
Heimdall.
Heimdall. Thank you, Heimdall. That Glazer. Yeah. All right. Let's
He
continue.
himself can control the weather, create
He controls the weather,
illusions, disperse illusions, alter his size, summon an army of the dead to fight behind. Okay, some of these are actually kind
Okay. Hold,
of.
hold, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold the phone a minute. Hold the phone a minute. What's this
Control the
he
weather.
himself? What's this he himself shit? Hang on. Before you respond, let me get to where you're at.
illusions, disperse illusions, alter his size, summon an army of the undead to fight beside him, steal the souls of other beings, force those souls into permanent servitude, empower him.
Okay, yeah. Hang on. What's this he himself shit? Everything you are naming are the powers the gods have given him, or shit his swords or weapons can do. What's this he himself shit?
Control the weather. Source? Like when does he ever control the weather? Create illusions. Source? He has the mask of like the Oracle, which allows him to see through the illusions of the Furies specifically. Disperse illusions? Okay, again, the thing I just mentioned, but that's only like those specific types of illusions, like physical illusions, not mental ones. Alter his size? No, he can't. That only happened with the power of hope, and only that one time. Even though he had hope inside of his body, he still could not alter his size freely. Summon an army of the undead to fight beside him. Again, even the army of Hades doesn't do that. It just summons a bunch of souls from the underworld that attack your opponent like a projectile volley. You're not actually summoning a full army of the undead.
All right.
Steal the souls of other beings. Again, the claws of Hades do that. That's not him. He can't physically rip out your soul unless he has the claws of Hades.
Massive rage power.
Force those souls into permanent servitude. He can't do that.
The souls of other
That's
beings.
never
Force
stated.
those souls into permanent servitude. Empower himself
Empowering himself with rage is probably the only thing you've mentioned so far. It's actually he himself.
via massive rage
Yeah,
power.
he himself, and really something that's not tied to a weapon. So far we have like 1 out of 10 claims correctly sourced.
I don't know, man.
Basically,
If these are his powers, he himself, I think there's a good case he has more resistance than powers.
I mean, bro, if that's the case, like, where's the statement that like Dante and DMC can just cut through anything because he had Yamato for like 5 seconds?
Hang on,
Bro.
let's continue here because I think he has more powers to mention.
Form of elemental manipulation you could possibly think of. He can
Every form of elemental manipulation you could possibly think of. Is that? Hang on. Is that what he said? Hang on.
servitude. Empower himself.
Yes, that is what he said. You were correct.
Elemental manipulation you could possibly think.
Virtually every form of elemental manipulation you could possibly think of.
Okay, so only lightning, ice, and fire. I'm pretty sure there are more elements than that. There's like earth, wind, poison, darkness, light. There's so many.
Kratos has water manipulation somewhere, right? There's got to be an item that gives him that somewhere, right?
No, he never manipulates water. Even when he gets the power of Poseidon in multiple different games.
All right, let's just move on.
It's crazy.
I'm not gonna knock on Kratos on this time. I don't want to do that.
He can massively increase all of his stats via his rage. His rage also summons the.
You already mentioned the rage amp twice. I don't know why we're doing that a second time. What? Did you?
He's a Kratos scaler. He's always got to mention the rage like it's the defining factor.
Okay, hang on. Let's continue.
Fire of Hades, as well as Zeus's lightning. The fire of Hades actually burns souls, by the way. And the lightning of Hades is just like, I don't know, really fast. I don't really know how. Like, there's not a whole lot that we see that makes it super superior, except for the fact that lightning bolts seem to travel a lot faster than like normal lightning bolts. But other than that, we don't really know what effect it has necessarily.
Wait, is that an assumption that in universe projectiles move faster than in other real world counterparts? So he's claiming that fiction can do things that reality doesn't? Interesting.
Listen. If only there was a potential feat in the novels that you could use to argue the lightning bolts are faster than normal lightning bolts. If only there was a feat like that. Probably would have to involve Hermes.
There technically isn't, because the other pantheons exist, but
if only there was something he could have directly referenced. Oh, I just can't think of it. It's just not there.
Yeah, I know.
like that
Listen,
he was
he
talking
spent
about
all
all
this
of
time
Kratos'
talking about.
powers.
He went all this time talking about how certain things can't happen in can't happen in fiction because they're in reality. But I'm expected to believe that you know lightning bolts can travel faster in fiction.
Oh, this is fun. Also,
Every
how
single
many times have we seen Baldur's head get fucking snapped?
one, if it becomes
Aren't you glad
relevant
you're
over the
having
course.
fun?
You know what? It is very fun. I am really happy he started by being so fucking picky about shit. It has been a lot of fun actually, and we're only an hour into this recording.
We don't really know what
Only an
effect it
hour.
has necessarily. As I said, not gonna go through every single one. If it becomes relevant over the course of the video, I'll bring it up. But just
Okay. So hang on.
know, Kratos has a lot of powers.
So Kratos has so many powers that you double dipped in the rage twice. He said powers though.
So many
Blade of Olympus?
powers. He had to mention the same one multiple times.
Was Blade of Olympus ever mentioned as like BFR or anything like that? I don't think he mentioned that, did he?
No. It's the only ability that the Blade of Olympus has, aside from its draining ability, that's actually good, and he never brings it up.
Did he mention the draining of like God's powers or anything?
No, he doesn't mention that. It can drain your life force away, and he's like,
Well,
I'm not going to mention the only ability he has.
to be fair, he said that Kratos himself can do, so maybe he understands the Blade of Olympus should not be given to Kratos like that.
Oh, okay, so did he just realize that one has too many on-panel feats? If I lie about that directly to people's faces, they'll realize and they'll call me out on that. So I'll just lie about all the other abilities.
Sweet Jesus, that's great. So to be as clear as possible, if we assume his items are what he's referring to, which he has to, because every power he mentioned is besides rage is Kratos' items. Kratos does have a decent portion of abilities. It's just rather funny that he double tipped into the same abilities for like a 30-second segment when there's like at least like 20 or 30 abilities he has if you include all of his items. Did he mention petrification at any point with Medusa's head? What is this?
The Greek saga are 6 games, and in every game he has a totally different list of powers. And
okay, hold on, Mangler. He said
I,
every Greek game, it's a totally different list of powers.
okay, so no, he has at least one fire or light ability in every game, along with a version of the Blades of Chaos, or a chain blade weapon that's designed like the Blades of Chaos. So that's already wrong. He has the Golden Fleece in 2 different games that happen right after one another. He always has 4 elemental abilities tied to weapons or something like that. He pretty much has the same amount of weapons every single time.
What the argument you can make is that he gets different sources of power in most of the games, but there's a lot of double dipping in his power set in every game. There's a lot of double dipping.
The only one that is actually meaningfully different is just Goes to Sparta. That's it.
Listen. This would be like saying Mario has different powers in every game he's in.
Yes, I remember my fireball that bounces, and then my fireball that bounces. That's twice as big as the previous fireball. 2 completely different abilities.
It's basically the same position. So moving on.
It adds up after a while. It's a lot.
It adds up after a while. It's a lot. So I'm gonna name the
same. It's so high. So if you can't count any higher than like 10, you're done.
Very, very big number of powers. First up on the chopping block, we have Celestials from Marvel Comics. And I know people are going to be annoyed by that the moment I say it, because people really, really like to talk about Marvel being like one of the most powerful series ever.
Well, no. I think people will get annoyed about you mentioning Celestials, because while Celestials do have a pantheon, you couldn't name a single other pantheon that's actually God-focused outside the Celestials.
Also...
Hang on. When he says Celestials, because have you watched this video yet or no?
I haven't watched this video. This is my first time seeing it.
Okay, so what I was going to ask was, when we mean Celestials, are we talking Galactus or the actual creatures called the Celestials?
No. So the Celestials are only ever specifically that race of beings, not the cosmic entities, which is what you're thinking of.
Okay. I just want to make sure I was on the same page, on the right page.
So I agree with Zim. It's more appropriate to bring up like the gods of Asgard or like the Norse gods or like the Greek gods in Marvel, because there are actual pantheons on the planet Earth and in dimensions around Earth in Marvel Comics. They're actually presented as pantheons. The Celestials are only technically there, but they're never even really called a pantheon.
Well, dude, wouldn't that be a novel idea? Could Kratos beat the Greek Marvel gods? Wouldn't that be an interesting like group to hit up against? But all right.
Yeah.
Well, Celestials it is.
in like the history of fiction, and it's really powerful. I think this actually might be one of the ones where I talk about and people might.
Does he say he's not really sure? Okay.
Powerful. I think this actually might be one of the ones where I talk about and people might.
Wait, why is he bringing up? Why is he showing footage of the MCU?
Yeah, hang on, man. I'm trying to hear what he's saying. But yeah,
Really powerful. I think this actually might be one of the ones where I talk about and people might agree with me. I don't know. Not really sure. I usually get surprised with what people agree and disagree with. Oh, also, for the people who disagree with me about the whole Word of God thing and Word of God not being able to be taken seriously, I would just like to say that the head editor at Marvel has said directly that there is no Marvel hero in the entire comic book universe of Marvel that is faster than light. This happened after they released a comic book that showed Wolverine dodging the shit out of all of Thor's hits, and people call it bullshit because Thor should be faster than Wolverine. Like, Thor legitimately admitted that Wolverine was faster, and people were like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Thor is way faster than Wolverine. And then the head editor was like, no, actually, none of them are faster than light. I don't know where you guys got this from. And the writer of the Immortal Hulk storyline, who most people say is one of the strongest versions of Hulk, has directly stated that Immortal Hulk is not capable of blowing up a planet. The only version of Hulk that can blow up a planet is Green Scar from the World War Hulk and Planet Hulk storylines. And Immortal Hulk was able to one-shot Thor, punched him in the face, fractured his skull, and beat his ass so badly that Thor just straight up called Immortal Hulk a godlike.
Okay, so
Nothing gets between you and...
So hang on.
Superior to himself.
Okay, so hang on.
And again, writer of Immortal Hulk said that Immortal Hulk is not strong enough to destroy a planet. So, if you Word of God people want to take that whole Word of God shit so seriously, that would mean that Thor is not light speed and not planetary. In fact,
the Word of God statements, yeah, those actually came up in contention a while back. So yeah, that is a good point to bring up. Why maybe sometimes author statements may or may not be wrong, but I believe there is a little more context to those statements. I'm not too sure, but
there always is.
yeah,
I was gonna say that
any of these Twitter statements or any of these statements, always remember that what you have been told on the internet is more than likely a small portion of what's actually either said or what the whole context around that is.
I think it's kind of silly for him to say something like that, as if every writer or author has the same like authenticity when it comes to explaining their stories or things of that level. Because with Marvel Comics in particular, Marvel Comics consistently has to produce more and more stories to constantly ramp up stakes for its characters, way past the original point of their creator. But how would you take this position, Rogu? How would you hold this position for a character or like an author that's been writing a light novel for like decades? And it's the same person writing the same story for like years.
Well,
what would your position be?
Presumably, his position would just be that the author statements don't matter whatsoever, even if they've been working on it their whole life and everything.
Yeah, but I know the reason why he brings this up. It's to argue that like they're not valid at all, and his argument is essentially to point out how stupid or ridiculous it is. But that position of stupidity is only applicable when you have a writer that doesn't pay attention to their material. 99% of writers don't act like that. So like this position is just ridiculous. In general,
he gets trumped by a dude who.
You would just argue that that writer doesn't know what they're talking about.
Thor is not light speed and.
Look, basically, the way you should take author statements, if you want to use them or if you don't want to use them, is you should always take it by a case basis. Author statements do not. So the hierarchy would usually be the primary source material, and then you would go downwards from there. But the problem is that for God of War in particular, a lot of people believe that author statements contradict the source material for God of War, when it ultimately doesn't, especially with the Norse information that gets added. That's the problem.
So the writers can technically make stories that are above the primary continuity because they create it. The thing is that the writers don't usually make statements about stuff that isn't covered in the novels and or isn't covered in the material. And if they do, they're just clarifying because they're trying to answer your question.
All right.
That's all they're trying to do.
Let's continue.
Not planetary. In fact, he gets trumped by a dude who can't destroy a planet, so he's significantly less than planetary. This is not my opinions. This is you Word of God people. I don't think that we should just buy into whatever the fucking creators say. I think we should actually see what happens on screen or on the page. page and then come to our own conclusions. But if you want to go with the whole Word of God shits, that makes a lot of y'all series a lot weaker than y'all think it is. So yeah, it's pretty obvious to me that the Celestials are losing here to Kratos. And I know people like to say, like, okay, well, the Celestials are like these massive, godlike, universal level beings, even more than that, multiversal. I mean, based on what? Like, even the main 616 universe was not solely created by just the Celestials. There are a bunch of different gods from a bunch of different pantheons that
Who are these Celestials you're talking about? Where are the robots? Where are the pictures of the robots?
all
Yeah,
came together
I
to
keep
create
seeing MCU footage, which is not the 616 universe. This is
and all of
based on the Ultimate universe of comics, and it technically doesn't even take place in the Ultimate universe.
So the MCU is technically Earth 6160 as well, to keep that in mind.
There are a bunch of different gods from a bunch of different pantheons that all came together to create the 616 universe and all of the universes within the Marvel multiverse. We have seen Celestials, individual Celestials show up and create planets and some stars and like sections of universes, but there's never been a single Celestial who just came out and just created an entire multiverse or even one single universe. So I don't really know why people jump to the conclusion that these dudes are universal or multiversal. As a collective, like all of them together, yeah, they can create a universe.
Pause it. So apparently he's never read Marvel Comics then. So they make it clear to you in many of the comics issues that go over many of the cosmic entities that the first iteration of the multiverse, which is like the full multiverse of all Marvel comics, is made by a being known as the First Firmament. And that First Firmament ends up going to war with the first race of Celestials. And essentially like the Mad Celestials. And they literally end up making the next multiverse because of the clash. So like that is a feat that is like so much larger than a typical multiverse. That's not even a single universe. That's so much larger than a single universe. And that's like one example of what they've done. They have so many other feats in the series. It would take we would be sitting here all day listing them.
Also, I'm fairly confident there's also a scaling chain as well, you could argue, for Celestial scaling to like the cosmic hierarchy. Cosmic hierarchy doing that as well.
This is also a stupid thing for him to mention, even in the context of the MCU, because even the Eternals movie more or less confirms that the Celestials have populated all the planets in like the known galaxy and the known universe. So like they would have to have been there since the beginning. And as they expand more and more, they're just going to argue that.
MCU Celestials until, well, I mean, he's saying 616, but I mean...
First, it takes some time, but they can do it. But they can't just create and destroy universes all willy-nilly. I mean, that's not really how it works. And honestly, throughout Marvel Comics, Celestials are fucking jobbers. Man.
Yeah, no, Marvel Comics. That's what he said.
To show
They're just jobbers.
Or some super impressive feats. They have them kill off a fucking Celestial. It happens all the time. Doctor Doom's killed a Celestial. Thanos has killed a Celestial. Black Bolt has killed Black Bolt killed like 12 Celestials with a single yell. The Apocalypse Twins killed a Celestial. Fucking Avengers 1 million BC or whatever they're called. They killed a Celestial. And yes, I know Odin was a part of the team, but this was a much weaker version of Odin before he became like the god Odin that we know of him now. That team also had Black Panther and Iron Fist on it, and they killed a Celestial. My point is that Celestials get fucking killed all the time. And they get killed by characters who are nowhere near universal or multiversal. It's not really that difficult of a feat to kill. I mean, I can't do it, but it's a massive stretch to say Kratos can't do it. Even the Celestial size really shouldn't be all that much of a problem. Like, there are some Celestials who are just fucking massive, like way bigger than Titan.
Do we want to respond to that?
To be honest, I'm just so flabbergasted by the idea that, like, the argument is that because Celestials lose fights, Kratos will be able to do it. So, let me get this straight.
Or more so that because they lose fights, the characters who they lost to don't scale to them. So wait, if I understand correctly, Kratos can no diff Atlas, and he scales to him, even though he's literally getting crushed to death like an ant in his finger.
I'm just not understanding the logic here. Also,
but the characters who beat the Celestials don't. Okay.
Let's run down his list of examples for a minute. Let's run down his list.
Can't do it, but it's a massive stretch to say Kratos killed him. And yes, I know Odin was a part of. Let them kill off a fucking time. A writer wants to show
the Avengers 1 million
or some super impressive feats. They have them kill off a fucking Celestial. It happens all the time. Doctor Doom's killed a Celestial.
Doctor Doom's killed a Celestial. You mean the second smartest guy in Marvel, the second smartest guy on the planet for the most part, give or take retcons here and there.
The guy that's stolen the power of Galactus on multiple occasions and killed the Beyonders.
Cosmic level multiversal threat more whenever he wants to be, like with the God Emperor Doom storyline, the Beyonders. Listen, if you think Doctor Doom being a Celestial is an anti-feat for the Celestials, fine. But we're not going to sit here and pretend that Kratos has even a fraction of what Doctor Doom brings to the fucking table. Okay,
That's a
let's make
stupid
that
position in
function
general.
clear.
Celestial.
That's
Thanos
a
is killed
stupid
Celestial.
position in general because Doctor Doom consistently has those feats.
Hang on.
Let them kill off a fucking Celestial. It happens all the time. Doctor Doom's killed a Celestial. Thanos has killed a Celestial.
Thanos, the guy who also fucks with the cosmic hierarchy, gets access to objects all the time and lets him fuck with the universe and the multiverse, and one of the most dangerous people in creation. To the point where one of the most recent comics had him fucking with the one above all. Okay?
Actually, he's done that multiple times in multiple comics. In fact, he's so popular, they keep creating comic lines where he wipes out the entire cosmic hierarchy and kills the entire multiverse and all the higher dimensional realms and everything.
Listen, these are not the examples you think they are, my man.
Black Bolt has killed
Also, Thanos has direct statements on panel in many of the comics of him being compared to all the various entities. And they point out that he's above the Skyfathers and he's on par with a being like Galactus.
Also, to clarify, while
So,
yes, Galactus would win more often than not in 1v1, the point we're trying to make here is that he's bringing up these characters as examples of Celestials losing to way weaker characters, but there's probably context, there's probably some prep time, there's probably some fucking item they had that lets them blow up the fucking cosmos or something. I guarantee you a lot of these examples.
Or the character just scales to them.
Yes.
In most cases, they're just as strong as the Celestial.
Regarding Black Bolt killing multiple Celestials at once. So first off, I would need a scan for that. Provide a scan instead of your reels. Is this also the same things on repeat again? I haven't been paying attention. I've just been listening.
It all just kind of blends together after a while.
Okay. So the point I'm getting at is that even if, let's say Black Bolt's in this example. Okay, Black Bolt, the guy who, with his voice alone, can cause substantial amount of AoE damage and create massively powerful attacks with his voice. Even if we assume he killed Celestials, let's assume it's all a valid position. Kratos doesn't have that. So how is that going to be applicable to Kratos' examples here of his straightforward, honest fighting
killed
style?
like 12 Celestials with a single yell. The Apocalypse Twins killed a Celestial.
I don't know
You'll get
who the
him.
Apocalypse
Don't worry.
Twins are.
Fucking Avengers 1 million BC or whatever they're called.
Also, I don't think bringing up team-ups killing Celestials is valid, or is like as valid as he thinks he is, because that would imply that Celestials fighting multiple people who could hurt it, not one guy who's really angry.
They killed a Celestial, and yes, I know Odin was a part of the team, but this was a much weaker version of Odin before he became like the god Odin that we know of him now. That team also had Black Panther and Iron Fist on it, and they killed a
Why are we disrespecting Black Panther like his vibranium isn't like the most bullshit fucking material in the Marvel universe?
Celestial. My point is that Celestials get fucking killed all the time. And
I think most of these are going to fall into the same logic. We might as well continue because I'm pretty sure we're like 2 hours into the video at this point, and we've only gotten halfway through his.
I mean, I can't do it, but it's a massive stretch to say Kratos can't do it. Even the Celestial size really shouldn't be all that much of a problem. Like, there are some Celestials who are just fucking massive, like way bigger than Titans in God of War. I mean, Nowhere, which is kind of treated as like a fucking moon or like massive space station, is the head of a Celestial. There actually is a straight up moon in Marvel Comics that is just a Celestial's head. I believe that's the one that Doctor Doom killed. There are some seriously large Celestials, but that's not really saying all that much in the God of War universe. I mean, the Primordials that created the entire, Greek God of War universe were so big that when one of them got punched in the face, it created several star systems.
We're on a mission to give 2 million people all around the world clean water. This village in Malawi.
Like, his blood splatter just became the fucking star systems. These characters were like pieces of universes
No, actually, we can't touch on that because that would be an off statement.
encompassing a single being. They were larger than galaxies.
No, we can. We can touch on it because it's talked about in the game. So in Ascension, they point out that when they're doing the creation feat, they're fighting all out for eternity. So if you want to argue that because based on the visual, they're fighting each other, sure, but their bodies are not breaking apart over the course of that entire fight. Like, that damage builds up. So even if you think they're creating the universe, which it's just Greece, because it's just what the Greeks interpret to be the universe, that's a feat over time. Any universal creation character would be way stronger than the Primordials. They would bitch slap the Primordials into yesterday.
Also, regarding size disparities, that the Primordials somehow make size disparities not a big deal. Kratos never fought the Primordials. Kratos never made anyone as big as them, if you would take that interpretation.
why are we bringing this up? Because you seem to be ranting about how these characters who fought the Celestials don't scale to them, but you're completely fine with giving scaling from Kratos
Wait,
to the Primordials, even though he never fought them.
wait. There wouldn't be any chain scaling either because author statements aren't allowed. There's no statements in the games that would let you even remotely scale to the primordials.
Nope.
All right, let's continue.
And we actually have writings in the God of War universe that state where gods have defeated primordials. It's directly stated
Hang on.
in God of War 3 that the primordial Nyx is beaten off every single morning by Apollo. Nyx shows up.
The primordial mist is beaten off by Apollo means that they scaled to the primordials. You think the primordials are dead, right? By like the events.
Okay, so some of them are, some of them aren't. But technically, what he's arguing is that because the night is driven back by the light, he beats them. It's like, okay, so someone who is manipulating the element of light, driving away the element of darkness, means they're stronger than them.
No, my bad. I thought he said mist. I heard mist. Okay, my bad. He means Nyx, the primordial. Okay,
Nyx.
fair. Yeah, Nyx. Okay, I was confused there. Also, Nyx is not that big either. Also, this philosophy assuming that all primordials scale relative to each other, which you would need a statement to prove that, and I don't think
the gods,
for that.
The gods and the Titans prove that's not true because there are strong gods and Titans, and there are weak gods and Titans. So we would assume they're strong and weak primordials.
So you would have to prove Nyx is like a strong primordial among the primordials or comparable to those same primordials, but you would need a statement for that.
Dude, if she's losing to Helios's flashbanged eyes when that guy lost to a single strike from a random fire titan, then she sucks. That is not the feat that you think it is.
All right, let's continue.
To Earth to try and take it over. She brings the night. Apollo shows up, kicks her ass, boots her from Earth. She leaves, and now it's day. That's God of
War. So why do we keep saying Apollo? Isn't it? Or wait, is that one actually Apollo's light for the PSP game, or is that Helios's light still?
No, he keeps saying Apollo. He keeps saying Apollo for some.
I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure because maybe it is Apollo. Maybe
Reasonably,
will be Apollo.
Listen, I'm gonna make a guess here, and I'm just gonna assume he really appreciates Greek mythology and he likes Apollo as a character, and he's actually just like, I don't like Helios, so I'm just gonna call him Apollo. Which would be fair, but whatever.
If Nyx is the same size as all of the other primordials we've seen,
if Nyx is the same size, don't meet Nyx, or do we never meet Nyx?
No. That's an assumption. He has no statement for that.
Okay, but no. Okay, so we never see Nyx then. Yeah, so he's just assuming then.
That would make the primordials considerably larger than that of the Celestials.
Also, does Kratos even fight Nyx?
No.
I don't understand the scaling chain.
And Apollo gets fucking bitch moded.
Live it, learn it, love it.
Hang on.
Make the primordials considerably larger than that of the Celestials. And Apollo gets fucking bitch moded by Kratos. So I don't really see a reason why
Apollo gets bitch voted by Kratos, or bitched on by Kratos. Well, I think is what he said.
Wait, he says I don't see any reason why Kratos wouldn't be able to do with super big Celestials. There's actually a very good reason why he wouldn't, and I'm going to wait until he brings up their abilities, because there's a very obvious elephant in the room reason why Kratos gets dog walked by the Celestials and snapped in half.
Also, to clarify, I don't think Kratos ever fought Helios himself either. By the time Kratos goes to fight Helios is in a bit of a his legs
are kind of missing.
Able to kill beings who have killed things much, much larger. The only real issue I see Kratos has.
Also, Helios never killed Nyx either, because Nyx kept coming back anyways. So, okay.
Having is his speed.
Wait. So the issue he says that Kratos has with them is that he's slow. He's really slow compared to what the Celestials can do, but he's so much stronger basically every category.
Hang on.
So that. Hang on then. So then he loses. Like if you're arguing Kratos is slightly faster than light, and they're much faster than him at the speed above light, then he would be a statue.
Hold on.
He would never touch them.
Well, you are correct. Let me get to that.
Kill beings who have killed things much, much larger. The only real issue I see Kratos having is his speed. He's really slow compared to what the Celestials can do, but he's so much stronger in basically every other category, resists pretty much every single thing that they can do.
Resists everything they can do. Let's see if he lists any abilities.
Physically stronger than they are, I don't really see it being much of a problem. And to be fair, we have seen Celestials be killed by shit that is a lot slower than light speed. Like I said before, Black Bolt was able to kill a bunch of them with a yell, and there's no reason to assume that his yell went any faster than the speed of sound, which is considerably slower than Kratos. So I think he'll be fine. I think he will dominate all the Celestials. And the fact that Celestials always have items and weapons and pieces of armor and things on them that have massive power tied to them, and that Kratos is known for stealing shit from the people he kills and utilizing.
What do you do if like a Celestial just like, because can Celestials launch radiation blasts?
They can also just snap their fingers and deconstruct your entire matter into nothing. So what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do if they just deconstruct him?
Well, remember, Mabel, he resists that. But what are they gonna do if they just fly over a body of water?
Yeah. Or what if they just telekinetically lift him up and then throw him underwater?
What does Kratos do?
Or throw him into
Celestial
space?
grabs him and throws him into space, or just flies.
Actually,
into space.
you know what? You know what? Hypothetical. What if they just blow up the planet? What's he gonna do? What is his solution?
Celestials aren't planet busters now. What's the argument here? What does Kratos do if a Celestial decides to fly? Let's say, how long are those chains? Like 10 feet? What does Kratos do if he flies 20 feet up into the air?
Or puts a barrier around himself, or literally anything. How is he going to deal with any of these abilities?
No. To be as fair as possible, obviously, like you could argue Kratos has ranged attacks, but like again, the point of the matter is that the Celestials have a much wider variety of options they can do in canon versus
They have.
Kratos. Because again, we're giving Kratos all of God of War 3 shit.
They've fought people at things across the universe. If he's arguing Kratos is slightly faster than light, you understand, even with slightly faster than light speeds, you can't even cross our solar system in a reasonable length of time. It would take you 8 minutes to travel from the sun to the Earth. They would be so much faster than him, they would never get hit by his attacks.
Also, I like how we bring up the example of Celestials dying to weaker characters, but why don't we bring up the examples of Celestials fucking with more top tier characters like Galactus? Why don't talking about that
Consistently.
So he points out Celestials are jobbers, and yeah, to be fair, they die all the fucking time. But the reason they die all the time for an impressive feat is because they are the bar of power for the cosmic hierarchy. You're either stronger than them or you're weaker than them. They are the guys who you have to cross to be in the higher ranges of the cosmic hierarchy more often than not.
So you can argue they're frauds in the sense that like they don't ever do anything impressive.
Which is
but arguing that they're like, yeah, okay, so the term you're looking for is fraud. Even if someone's a jobber, okay, that just means they get beat up a lot. That does not mean they don't have feats or they don't scale to anything. That just means their power is less than that. Like, power scaling is relative. Also, if I could blow up a planet, but someone comes along that could blow up a galaxy, punches my teeth out, that doesn't make me a fraud. That just makes them super powerful.
Also, are we assuming the Celestials are all ganging up on Kratos, or is this a 1v1? Because you mentioned how Black Bolt killed 12 of them. Are we assuming Kratos fighting 12 Celestials at once? Because once Kratos manages to kill one of them, the others are just gonna fly away from his range, because even his bow doesn't go that far, and then blow up the planet. Like, what's the game plan here?
Or they're just going to use their powers to scan his body and realize, oh shit, he can't breathe in space. Planet's gone. Bam.
Listen. Like if you want to argue, he could fight them one-on-one because you believe characters who can hurt them don't scale to them, or at least that's what you're trying to imply. Fine, whatever, fine. But like, if he's fighting 12 of them, are they all just waiting their fucking turn?
It's like, sir, I'll wait until you finish killing him. I'll even let you charge all of your attacks and whip out all your weapons without doing anything.
What does Kratos do if he kills 4 Celestials and then one Celestial grabs their corpses and merges into a Mega Celestial? What does Kratos do now? Listen, I'm just saying, this is not the battle that Kratos wins.
I love how this. This operates under the assumption that the Celestials have zero brain power and just sit there and let Kratos kill them. Assuming Kratos could even hurt them, we're still just assuming like, yeah, they just sit in front of him, restraining their own arms, and like, I will not use my powers. Please kill me.
Actually, since he hasn't brought the Blade of Olympus for anything, how does Kratos actually kill a Celestial? Because like, how does he slice apart their legs and shit? Like, does he just run across their thigh the whole time and they just watch him do it? Like, what's the game plan here?
I want to point out that the Celestials are not physical beings. They're cosmic entities. They're abstractions given form. You can't, like, when you destroy the body, you're not really killing the Celestial. They could just come back with another body.
Actually, how does Kratos even, like, attack them? Because let's say Kratos' attacks are so strong that he can hurt them. After he hits them one time, how's he ever going to hit them again? Again, they're MFTL. They're massively faster than where Kratos would be at. How does this work out in Kratos' favor in any universe?
Hang on, I think he has an answer for that.
Okay, hold on.
Because you're 2120, right?
I'm at 2147.
Oh, so you didn't read what he said about Black Bolt then?
Oh, no, you're
He says,
right.
To be fair, we have seen Celestials being killed by shit that is a lot slower than light speed. Like what I said before, Black Bolt was able to kill a bunch of them with a yell, and there's no reason to assume his yell was any faster than the speed of sound, which is considerably slower than Kratos. Okay, so we assumed earlier that Zeus's lightning bolts were faster than normal lightning, and you didn't provide any evidence to say that. So why would we assume that Black Bolt's screams are the same speed as the speed of sound? That's very disingenuous.
I'm gonna offer a counterpoint that doesn't work for Kratos in this example. Black Bolt's scream is an AoE wave attack that would hit them all at once, presumably. Kratos' sword or his weapons can only really hit one of them at a time. So if we have 12 Celestials square up to Kratos, one sees the sword or the Blades of Olympus going at it, and it's all like, all right, whatever, it's not a big deal. If Kratos fucking damages that Celestial, they're never going to let him touch him again. Because Kratos doesn't have the AoE attack to do that, or the range, or like anything that doesn't make it easier to dodge. That's why.
Nope, he'll be fine.
Means that every single Celestial
As he says, he thinks he'll be fine. So we'll just trust him.
Kratos is known for stealing shit from the people he kills and utilizing that to him.
Also, Kratos stealing shit from the Celestials, how would he even know how to use it?
Power himself means that every single Celestial he kills, he'll just get stronger and stronger and stronger. So even if there is like some incredibly legendary Celestial out there,
how would he even take the armor off of them?
Okay,
you haven't even proven how he would interact with their bodies. Their bodies, quote unquote.
You can't just pick up Celestial gear and use it automatically for the most part. You have to at least understand their technology to some extent to use their ability to use their bodies.
You can't even touch them. That's not how their physiology works. Every character that's using this is using normal attacks.
All right, let's continue.
And Kratos will eventually surpass him once he kills enough Celestials.
Kratos will eventually surpass him when he kills enough Celestials. So every Celestial just gonna bum rush Kratos, doing the exact same strategy over and over again. Because let's Kratos kills 5 Celestials, so they're just gonna be like, "Fuck it, blow up the
generous."
planet.
Actually, no, that's not even going to work before he kills the first Celestial, because they're not idiots. They don't run in there like mob enemies. Once they realize they're getting damaged, they'll be like, okay, that's stupid, blow up the planet. Because they're just going to use their powers to observe him and his physiology, and they're going to find out, oh, he's made of mostly normal matter. Okay, let's see if he can survive in the vacuum of space. And then just blow up the planet. It's like, oh, that killed him. Can't breathe in space. Damn. Problem solved.
I'll never forget you, Kratos, as long as I live.
Kratos, you were a worthy opponent for about 2 seconds.
I don't think this is much of an issue. Kratos is going to dominate here. If you're enjoying the video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. Join the membership, you get exclusive access to unique videos that no one else can get. You know, I always wondered, do you guys even hear that whole bit? Like, I say that whole bit, but I feel like
now he's
so
shilling
fast,
for himself. Okay.
Well, I mean, that's perfectly fine. I respect it.
It just sort of blends in the background. You don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm saying to do like the like, subscribe. You get what I'm saying, right? Yeah, no, you got it. And don't forget to check down below the pinned comment where there will be a link to
Wait. Okay, so we didn't talk about their hacks at all?
Link to my second
okay,
channel
we just skipped it entirely. All right, so he just said that he just claimed they resisted, and then he moved on to Azura.
Listen, I'm just gonna listen. We already kind of touched on how ridiculous that premise is, but just to clarify, the Celestials more than likely, because I don't know everything the Celestials can do. but any of them has any radiation abilities, and Kratos immediately just crumbles.
They have power. Okay, so I want to point out they can fight Galactus, and Galactus is incapable of killing them with the power cosmic. The power cosmic literally has the ability to just like rip you apart at like the quantum level.
Hold on.
They've done similar things to other people.
I'm gonna bat for my boy Galactus here. I'm not gonna let that slander slide. Galactus killed one of them, and then they're like, "Hey, let's just merge into a Super Celestial."
So what I'm pointing out is that his abilities don't work on them. He has to challenge them to a fist fight and beat them to death.
All of
So
Galactus's hacks mean nothing for the most part. He has to straight up Dragon Ball Z their ass in order to fight them.
the power cosmic is way better than all of Kratos' hacks combined. It's not even close. And there's no way you're going to be able to argue that they're even going to get touched by Kratos or like let alone killed by him. And as we mentioned before, even if he does manage to seriously wound one of them, first of all, they're way faster than he is, so he's never really going to hit them. Secondly, even if we assume that he did, they're just going to blow up the planet once they realize he's too much of a problem, and then he's stuck in space. Dead.
Assuming they don't have a hacks ability that already just deals with him, just on their own.
They can create life and matter from nothing. They can obviously just deconstruct you.
No.
Things that are not survival challenges, because everyone needs variety in their life. Are you tired of these ads? So am I. Let's get back to the video. Next up, we have the 7 deities, or the 8 guardian generals from Asura's Wrath. I'm not really sure what I should call these guys, because the 7 deities don't include Asura, and I am including Asura, but I can't call them the 8 guardian generals because they weren't deities when they were the 8 guardian generals.
Okay. So to clarify something for a minute here, we're using the Celestials as a god group, even though that's not how they work. I don't think the name really matters here. You can just say the deities from Asura's Wrath and just include Asura. Like
whatever the deities are, like it's not a huge big deal. People aren't going to get mad at you about it.
Access to over 1 million quality parts.
Oh, that's my
AI is transforming customer service.
This is a longer ad. Hang on, give me a second.
Some of the stuff he says in this is wild.
Whole pantheon, all of them, whatever the fuck you want to call them.
What was it?
That's what we're doing here. And
it was a car parts one and an AI ad, which is weird.
Not gonna lie, Asura hard carries, super hard carries. The vast majority of
Okay, I'm gonna keep this a straight honest buck. How is this section even remotely long if you have just argued the Celestials are incapable of beating Kratos? How does this? Let's see what he says.
The gods in the 7 deities are not particularly powerful. They are. Like, one of them is the size of a fucking planet. But compared to someone like Kratos, it's really not all that impressive. It isn't until you start to get to Chakravartin and Asura at the end of the game that it actually starts being something that might kind of... I'm
gonna pause it here at 23:21. Even the weaker gods in Asura's Wrath, the ones that actually fight, tend to have better showings than what God of War is given. Outside of the
when is it ever shown that a character in God of War could just destroy the planet casually? Because the only example you have provided thus far is just the Primordials, and even that feat, then, is retroactively. Yeah, it was not casual, and it was retroactively changed by God of War 4. The pantheons don't take place across the cosmos anymore; they all take place on one planet. So
really, the only reason why Asura's on here is because Asura basically has a limitless ability to just continuously increase in power over time based on his rage and his combat and the damage that you do to him. He'll just keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. He's like the Hulk in a lot of ways. And due to this, I was very
wait. Hold up a minute. So you're telling me that destroying a planet is not impressive or anything above that, but just continuously getting stronger with no statements or evidence of how powerful you get is enough to threaten Kratos? Like, is it just me, or does he seem to have a fetish for rage monsters?
I think he definitely enjoys rage monsters. I can't help but wonder. Maybe
his favorite. You do understand that rage power is not a good ability, right? It just makes you arbitrarily stronger. It's an unquantifiable thing.
All right, so let's continue here because I want to see what he says about this.
Yeah, that's fine.
exactly put this on the list? Because a part of me wants to put him like behind the Celestials, because the Celestials have all manner of different hacksy abilities that don't really exist in Asura's Wrath. Asura's Wrath is very, very
Hold on. Okay,
All manner of hacksy abilities that you never
I'm
brought up
trying to
for
figure,
some
yeah.
reason.
So the Celestials have all these hacks that you didn't bring up, but it's okay because Kratos resists them. But I'm not going to mention the specific hacks and how Kratos resists them. Okay.
I'm not going to provide any of that evidence, even though I'm claiming all these other claims earlier in the video.
So to be clear, if you were to make he's making a claim without evidence. So you would just say,
Yes,
no, the
we
Celestials
can
just
dismiss.
out hacks him. Yeah.
We can dismiss Hitchin's razor. That which can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. Like if you don't provide evidence for a claim, we can dismiss it because it means nothing.
Yes.
straightforward. You punch people, you throw projectiles, that's about it. There is virtually zero hacksy abilities in the series, but that really doesn't matter that much because none of the
So regarding about the hacks abilities in Azra's Wrath, not entirely true. There is some hacksy abilities. It's just like on visual screen, it's not very hacksy.
Celestials hacks is even going to work.
I mean, you can say that about God of War too. I don't even know why he's saying this.
But that really doesn't matter that much because none of the Celestials hacks is even going to work against Kratos. Like if you took Asura,
Celestial hacks will work on Kratos. All right, good, great source.
Right, and you put him up against Celestials, he's losing. They have so many crazy hacksy abilities that would have.
Okay, so they believe he can automize him in a second. They can destroy his soul. They could teleport him some awful hell dimension he can get out of. Yeah, what would Kratos do to any of those things? I've already provided you a direct statement from the Ghost of Sparta guidebook that points out that a weapon in his pantheon can destroy body and soul, and it uses the lightning of Poseidon. Same lightning in the same game literally kills him. So, like, we know something that could deconstruct his soul would kill him. So, yes, by your own admission, the Celestials would have killed him with a single attack.
Dimension that he can't get out of. There's so many different crazy things that can do to him, and he can't do anything about it. However, we've also seen characters who can't hit anywhere near as hard as Asura be able to completely and immediately flatten the Celestial. And if none of the Celestial's hacks are going to work on Kratos, which they won't, that means it's really just going to turn
they won't.
Source?
Okay.
To a physical fight. And in terms of a physical fight, Asura is going to be considerably more difficult to put down. Asura's physical shit isn't strong enough to overcome Kratos yet. But if given enough time, and if that power just constantly...
Wait. Hold on. Pause it to 24 for a second.
Yeah.
Oz has direct on-screen feats of blowing up planets and punching through the core of planets. What does Kratos
also
have?
Punching stars thrown at him? Not to mention there are statements in the guidebook of like... There are statements in the official guidebook for Asura that confirm that when Chakravartin is fighting you with a giant Buddha statue, that, well, actually the boss fight literally shows he has galaxies floating around the Buddha statue and that he is firing at you from the center of the Milky Way galaxy. That is a cosmic level battle, and he's casually doing it in his weakest form. What has Kratos ever done that's ever on that scale, visually? Because your only argument is that he scales with the primordials, but that's not his feat.
Thank God. All right.
Increases as quickly as it was increasing before, because at the beginning of this game, he's only like punching through brick walls and shit. He's very, very weak. By the end of the game, Chakravartin is literally chucking stars at this dude.
Hold on. At the beginning of the game, he's only punching through walls and shit. At the very beginning of the game, he also beats Wyzen, who, that
is
giant,
bigger than a planet. Bigger than a
them into
planet.
oblivion. It's not even like a big deal to him. If you give him a week or two of just constant powering up, you're talking about a dude who's blowing up fucking galaxies just by looking at them. Like,
he would. Okay,
he's gonna get really, really powerful. I mean, he's still gonna lose because he doesn't have any resistance to any of the hacks that Kratos can do. Like,
he doesn't have any resistance to the hacks Kratos can do. I love that. I love that.
Kratos wants to freeze time and kill him.
Actually, I'll just make the point that not only does he have resistances to every hacks that Kratos has, Kratos is never going to hit him because Asura is way faster. That Chakravartin's first phase of his boss fight outspeeds any feat.
Spengler?
What?
Can you repeat that again?
I'm here.
I know, repeat that again.
I was gonna say, Kratos, Azura's fight with Chakravartin, just the first phase with the Buddha statue, is a faster speed feat than anything God of War has ever produced and ever will produce. So not only can I argue that he could resist every ability that Kratos has, and I can provide scans for it, unlike Grogu, I would argue that Kratos wouldn't even be able to hit him with those abilities. So
out, he can do that. Azra has extremely limited soul. Like, it's not soul resistance. He just, two dudes can't take his soul away, and they say it's because he keeps like driving
Azra has very limited soul resistance. Two dudes
forward or whatever. It's like a real
take his soul away, and that's that. What the fuck do you think Kratos has in soul resistance? I need to know.
So are you? This is just disingenuous. Actually, no. This is just lying. He's just lying. God of War 3, you fight Hades, and Hades is literally ripping out your soul. He's physically ripping out your soul, and if you fail to win the minigame, you die.
Just
so, like,
what soul resistance does Kratos have here? Like, give me more than 2, because you're claiming Azra only has 2, and you're downplaying it. Give me more than 2.
Like, okay, so if I don't use a soul manipulation ability that incurs a physical struggle specifically, like if I just activate a spell that pulls out your soul and it has nothing to do with physical strength, I'll just rip out Kratos' soul. So, like, that's your resistance? That's a garbage-ass resistance. That's crap.
That's fucking wild.
Weak version.
To be as fair as possible, to be as clear as possible, we don't have issues with Kratos as a character, but this guy is asserting a lot of benefits for Kratos and sort of dog-washing all the others, which is wild.
We have no problem with his resistances or abilities. We're just pointing out that they're not what he is claiming. He is overestimating. He's claiming he resists like every ability. He's got so many abilities, he can't possibly bother to list them. And it doesn't matter what abilities you have, because Kratos will just resist them all. And then he points out some nonsense, and we're like, hey, we'd like to have some claims for that, because that is extraordinary claims without extraordinary evidence.
Hang on. I've been asked questions.
Of a soul absorption thing where, yeah, it's not, he doesn't have resistance to soul manipulation. Just leave it at that. But yeah.
Azra does not have resistance to soul manipulation. He just has 2 examples of where characters fuck with his soul and he resists it, but okay.
I am conflicted here because in a lot of ways he's the weakest person on this.
There's a direct statement that Chakravartin is going to wipe out his existence, and he throws an attack at him that does that, and then Azra just no-diffs it. So, I don't know.
Because I think he could possibly be the easiest person to kill. Well, I guess it's true he can defy death as long as he's angry, and he's always angry. There's ways around that. Like the previously mentioned soul absorption, or just, just...
So, the soul absorption where you have to win a physical battle strength, and you're also assuming that would work on Azra the way it would work on Kratos?
Destroying his conceptual being. But another way...
Destroying his conceptual being. How? What's Kratos doing there?
He would arguably put up a way better fight against Kratos because he's just way stronger. Look, I know that some of the Celestials are impressive, sure, but...
Well,
I mean, if we want to play this game of claiming that characters can die to attacks that are way weaker than themselves, can we just argue that Kratos dies to falling off a fucking cliff?
Can we argue that Kratos
dies
to lava and fire?
Yeah, Kratos has a direct statement that if he enters the chamber in God of War 2 where the Phoenix is, he will suffer, quote, instant death to enter the chamber unprotected. So, like, we have direct statements that he dies to practically everything in the Greek pantheon. But, like, we're not going to bring those up.
No.
And we've seen them be...
That's actually something I should point out, too, is that this man's giving a lot of credence to lower-end feats for other characters, but I'm not hearing a single lower-end feat for Kratos, how Kratos dies to the fucking easiest fucking shit you can run into.
And we're not talking about word of God statements that Rogu likes to talk about. These are direct statements, usually from the narrator of the story or Kratos himself admitting he will die to a specific thing.
Wait, I'm actually gonna go back to the Celestial point for a moment. What does Kratos do if it's too dark to fight? If a Celestial covers the sun with his body?
Oh yeah. Rogu, did you know that Kratos can't see in the dark? But you would know that because you played the games, right? Because he admits he can't see in the dark. He does not have night vision. So, like, what happens if he fights a character that can, I don't know, just turn off the sun? Or just change night and day? Because, like, a number of these characters could just blow up the sun, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's your argument there?
By pretty low tier attacks. Way lower tier attacks than things that we've seen Asura do. Like, that's just not even close. Asura has potential that he could possibly be a threat if Kratos just forgets that he has a bunch of hexy abilities and tries to slug it out with them for long enough that Asura can gain enough power that he can actually challenge him in physical battle.
Wait. So Asura could potentially be Kratos if Kratos just forgets he has axe ability. You know, kind of like the Celestials forgot about all of their axe abilities and just decided to bum rush Kratos for no reason.
Also, why are we discussing the idea of Kratos forgetting his hacks abilities like it's some sort of unreasonable position when Kratos' favorite form of combat is hand to hand, beating people to death? Like, this is the problem when you power scale a character so like biasly, is you're like, oh, he can do this. Okay, does he do that in any of his fights? No, he bum rushes them. Hey, how do you fight Zeus? Oh, he got in close and used the Blades of Chaos for almost all of it, or fought him with his bare hands. Interesting. Those soul hacks weren't there for that fight. Very interesting.
So
Gourmet for less at all.
Look, some people just like fighting the way they do, and Kratos' style of fighting would be in Azura's favor. And I got 2 more fucking commercials.
happen. But it'd be kind of cool to see. You know, that's something. Next up on the list, we have the Chaos Gods from Warhammer 40k. I'll be real with you guys.
The Chaos Gods. All right, so now it's the Battle of Frauds.
I don't know why y'all think the Chaos Gods are so powerful. I don't get it.
Hold on. Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they are powerful. On Slanesh's birth, he destroyed a large portion of the galaxy, so it could be assumed that if he actually attempted to destroy more, he can destroy a lot of it. He's clearly a cosmic level threat. He even has demons that are larger than planets that can blow up whole solar systems, like they are cosmic beings for sure. But I just cannot wrap my head around why people would even begin to think they are universal or above that. Like, where is the evidence? I can't find it anywhere. In order for a being to be universal or above, they have to have created or destroyed a universe. They haven't done either. In fact, technically, the Chaos Gods don't even fulfill the role of a god. They shouldn't even be called gods. They didn't create people. People created them by their emotions and feelings and thoughts and all that. They're empowered by the people. Without the people, they wouldn't exist. So they're not even technically gods in the traditional sense. It seems to me the only reason why people would have them above a galactic level is because of the very nature of their
technically, all gods are created by people.
Wow.
No,
existence.
I'm not going to be that person. Okay, that's fine.
Beings who can influence the
Kyle's now proud of you, Mangler, when he watches this video.
universe in different ways with different types of haxy abilities, and that's cool, but I don't see how that makes them universal. Some people even have them above that at like super high multiversal or just like made up shit like fucking omniversal or whatever they call it. I don't see how that's even possible considering the entire Warhammer universe is just one universe with a bunch of like pocket dimensions and shit. Like, it isn't even a legitimate multiverse, so how can characters be beyond universal?
Yeah, I disagree with a lot of what this guy said, but like I'm at 28 minutes on the Chaos Gods, and you know what? It's rather interesting how much critical thinking goes into every verse against Kratos that just doesn't seem to apply to Kratos himself.
I know people are gonna say,
it's like if he kept that standard consistently. I mean, his positions are still stupid. Like, a lot of the rules I think are stupid, but I can respect the amount of time he at least tries to think about it, as long as it's not God of War. Secondly, just to correct some things, Slanesh did not destroy a large portion of the galaxy when he was born. He just created a warp storm which covered.
Mangler?
At the center of the galaxy.
You want to repeat that again? Because you cut out there? Mangler? Anyway, so it sounds like what Mangler says is that he performed a warp storm at the center of the galaxy, or at that portion of the galaxy. Mangler, are you back?
Okay, that was...
Repeat what you said about the warp storm.
Slanesh did not destroy a large portion of the galaxy. All that happened was that the Eye of Terror basically spewed open a warp storm that covered multiple solar systems. The actual matter and mass of the space itself, or the planets that they occupied in the stars, didn't get destroyed. They were just changed. So that's not even like, even if you were to equate that to physical power, that there would only be like multi-solar. His demons don't have feats of doing anything like that.
All right, let's continue.
For the universe is because they need the universe. They gain power from the universe. It's not their goal to destroy it. Why would they? I understand that. And I'm not complaining that they haven't destroyed the universe. What I am saying is if they haven't done anything like destroying a universe, then you can't argue that they are. It doesn't make any sense to make the argument that, well, they can destroy the universe, they just never have and never will, and
so
we'll see it, and it'll never be
I was going to point out on this point, If you really wanted to argue this position, you should just go get that statement from the Warhammer Guidebook, which confirms that Khorne doesn't actually have the ability to destroy the universe. It's directly stated in his description that there is a blade next to the brass throne. That if he were to gain enough power with it, he would eventually, or if he were to gain enough power and become strong enough, he could get up off the throne and wield the sword, and with that, he would be able to cut the universe in half. So it is a direct confirmation that arguably the strongest of the Chaos Gods cannot destroy the universe. Can't even cut it in half.
Blur, he just needs time to get his ass off that chair.
I know. I'm just pointing out, like, Rogu, if you really don't believe it, but you want to like provide some tangible evidence, just go get the Warhammer 40K guidebook, the official guidebook. It's a direct statement under his description.
All right, let's continue.
Sure, 100% they can, just know it, trust me. I see something similar to this in my comment sections all the time where people come and be like, oh, you're so stupid, you know what you're talking about. I would fucking dominate you in a debate, it wouldn't even be close, I can instantly prove you wrong. And I'm all like, okay, well, come to the fucking Saturday streams where we have debates. It's every Saturday at 7 p.m. CST, come on over there. And they're always like,
oh, I like that segue.
No, I'm not gonna do that. It would be so easy for me to beat you. It's not even worth my time. I can't be bothered with doing. I could totally do it, but I'm not going to. And you just know that it's fact that I could, even though I won't actually do anything to prove. I see this a lot. This happens a lot.
So to be as fair as possible, I can understand his position about how it's annoying how people claim they can debate you and beat you, and then when you tell them a time that you'll be there, they like never agree to show up. Like they never accept your call out. But at the same time, based on my years of like doing this and debating people, I don't think debating him is actually worth anyone's time because he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would accept evidence if he is against your position.
Yeah,
Again, he offers critical thinking to all the series.
Aside from the fact that he didn't provide any sources for any of these claims.
Yes.
That's my biggest issue. He didn't provide any sources for any of these claims. And I've played all the games and read all the novels and all the guidebooks that he would allegedly be talking about, many of which prove a lot of his claims directly wrong. So, like, I don't know, like, what would a person gain by debating you exactly? I understand it, like Zim said, it's frustrating to have someone be like, yeah, I'm not going to show up for certain reasons.
Yeah.
But, like, there could be a valid reason not to debate you. You could just be dishonest.
Guy that debating would be worth anyone's time. Nah, that's not trying to be insulting. Yeah, I know it might come off insulting, but that's not the point. It's just that some people are not really, they're not really good at debates, or they're not really earnest and honest in their debates. So I'm just saying that's personally the vibe I'm getting here, but that's just me.
Like, imagine you're in some wannabe alpha male's house, right? And he's like, man, I could punch through solid concrete. And you're like, hey, there's some concrete right there. Prove it. Go punch through concrete. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. This is my house. I don't want to destroy my
Are we going to use a portion of this Chaos God section and just ramble about how people will debate you?
house? I'm like, yeah, that's a viable reason as to why you wouldn't do it, but you just saying you can do it doesn't mean you can do it. Go, like, we have to see you do it. He's like, nah, you should just trust me. And if not, you're fucking stupid. That's basically what people are saying about the Chaos Gods. They are definitely extremely powerful cosmic level beings, much in the same way the Greek gods are in the God of War games. They can destroy
cosmic level beings like the Greek gods, all right?
Very large sections of space. But even
the amount of
space, where, bro? Where are these feats coming from?
First of all, even if you're going by what Ascension says, Ascension only confirms they've been fighting for an eternity. So your universe level feat is happening over an extremely long period of time, which you only have a confirmation of how long that is with Word of God, the thing that you reject.
Even if
the
primordials create the universe the way they do and everything, the amount of time it would have taken for them to do that would make their feat massively inferior to a lot of other feats.
It would make them, at worst, multi-solar to, like, galaxy, which is terrible compared to, like, most creator characters. Not just, like, the characters you mentioned, but, yeah.
Let's continue.
It'd be stronger than the Chaos Gods, though, to be fair.
He's stronger than the Chaos Gods still.
Are shown capable of creating and destroying much larger sections of space than anything we see the Chaos Gods do. And they were over...
Okay, so to be clear, we've never seen the Greek gods create any portion of space in God of War.
Yeah, they don't have the ability to. They don't have the ability to
only
manipulate
argument you can
space.
make, but not the Greek gods.
Thrown by the Titans, who was later soloed by Zeus on a
The Titans were not soloed by Zeus. It was after a hard-fought battle, and he
physical
used a weapon that BFR'd all of them. I don't know what this. I listen. I understand the Zeus glaze. I just don't understand why.
Yeah, a weapon that was never explained before he used it, or even after he used it. He just pulled it out of nowhere.
standpoint, Kratos would be considerably more powerful than they are. Like, I understand the idea there's super.
Kratos would be considerably more powerful than they are. You know, Kratos versus Zeus was like a really high diff fight for Kratos, right? Unless we're going at the end.
You understand that Kratos admitted in the fight of God of War 2 that if he was hit by Zeus's lightning bolts, he would fucking die. You understand, like, at the beginning of God of War 3, he gets blasted off of Mount Olympus by a single attack from Zeus.
Like, even if you believe Kratos is stronger than Zeus, like, Zeus was able to fight him. Zeus gave up the fight after fear left his body, but he was throwing heads with Kratos for the whole fight.
Super hard to kill. I get that, right?
Again, the Kratos glaze is wild. Even inside of God of War, he'll just glaze him, even when on-panel feats disprove his point.
Also, technically, Zeus, if it wasn't for the power of hope randomly coming back to save Kratos, Zeus technically would have won that fight. You know, with Fear Zeus, but alright.
In this sort of other higher dimensional plane, that plane in of itself doesn't really have a physical form. They can influence the universe in a bunch of different crazy ways. They are empowered by the emotions and the feelings and just events that happen within that universe, as they themselves are a manifestation of those things within the universe. Like, I get all of that. The reason why they're so low on this list is because they're not going to be that difficult to kill for Kratos. The God of War games, specifically the Greek God of War games, deal in formless conceptual beings that gods have to kill. It's actually a pretty big part of the story. They completely get rid of this by the Norse games, as the gods in the Norse games.
Okay, so what example can you provide of that? Because it can't be hope and fear, because only hope and fear interact with each other in a way that could kill them. So are we using Hope Kratos here?
Aren't conceptual beings.
Yeah, and that's a separate form that he had to activate through a very specific set of conditions.
Also, on that point, Is the power of hope ever stated to be the conceptual existence of hope in God of War, or was it?
No, and in fact, hope and fear existed in the world before they were claimed to have come about in the Great War in God of War 3. Because in God of War 2, it's pointed out that, like, the reason why Kronos tries to kill Zeus is because he's afraid of the idea that his children will basically kill him. Because a prophet, essentially what's it called? An oracle.
Like a cycle of fear.
Yeah. Well. No. Like, an oracle tells him, sees a vision of the future and is like, your son's basically going to betray you. So he eats all of his sons. So fear and hope already existed in the world. They just manifested through a will of their own during the Great War.
All right, let's continue.
Different race of beings who are more powerful. You could, like.
I've just finished narrating over 400 pages of Dark Souls lore from a book called...
You'll be ready to hear your Dark Souls lore, and you'll like it.
The giants can kill them. If you're strong enough to kill them, a fucking dwarf kills Odin. Like, it's perfectly okay. Which is just another reason why Kratos in the Norse games is basically just...
Okay, I want to clarify, a dwarf killing Odin is okay. That was after Odin's soul had been trapped in a rock, and once that rock didn't have special properties, it was just a rock.
Yeah, like, he couldn't fight back, and that was after he lost a fight and had his soul ripped out of his body.
Like, again,
so
there are many reasons to criticize the Norse games. I'm very happy that people have turned on the Norse games as time went on, because they weren't that good when they came out. But let's provide the proper context for the series you keep sucking off.
Completely different characters than Kratos in the Greek game. It might as well just be a complete straight up reboot. Because in the Greek games, it is specifically stated that only a god can kill another god because those gods are concepts and people can't destroy concepts. What a god...
That's never stated. That's never stated. No, he's lying. There is not a single statement provided that only a god can kill another god.
Is it because they're concepts, Mangler? Are the gods ever directly called concepts in any primary source material?
They are never directly called concepts, and this is refuted by the games themselves. They point out that whenever you kill the entities, yes, sometimes things happen to the world, but Zeus literally points out in God of War 2 novel, after Ares dies, there is no lack of war below. They don't embody the things that they have. You can kill the God of War, and it will do nothing to people's capacity to conduct war.
God is in the Greek
I killed Helios and it didn't get rid of the sun.
concept made real. They just are concepts. We have multiple examples of this. Thanatos' daughter, Eris, which is one of the bosses in Ghost of Sparta, probably? One of the fucking PSP games. Like I said, I get them confused all the time. It is straight up stated that Thanatos just took the concept of pain, gave it form, and that created this chick who was his daughter. Literally, all of the Greek gods have...
Mangler, is that confirmed?
No. And after she dies, pain does not leave the pantheon. So,
this. When Apollo
incorrect.
is killed, the god of the sun is literally deleted from the sky. This is why it's such...
The sun is deleted from the sky.
No, it is not. The clouds appear in front and cover the sun. The sun is still there. You can literally see it in the background. He's just lying now.
Such a big deal that Kratos is going around killing all the gods, because after he does, he's essentially removing a concept that needs to be there out of existence, and it starts to...
So I'm gonna offer just a quick counterpoint. If killing the god removes it, which is what he's trying to imply, which again, Payne already kind of disproves that. Why does the ocean not just dry up when Poseidon dies? Why does it get bigger?
Why does killing Gaia do nothing to the Earth?
That's a really good question. She's the concept of the Earth. What happened?
Why does killing Hermes not get rid of medicine or messages or anything? Why does it just release a plague on people?
Also, why does killing Athena not get rid of strategy or wisdom? Because technically they still make smart choices in the combat.
Or war. Because she also embodies war. And you've killed Ares at this point, so maybe you could say, well, war still exists because Athena's around. No, we kill Athena and war still exists.
And Kratos isn't the god of war anymore. Look, all I'm just saying is that these concepts are pretty resilient. If they're fucking physical forms, just keep fucking flying, dropping like fucking
dying consistently. They just keep dying back to back. You kill Thanatos, nothing happens to death. People are still dying.
That's wild.
Fucking world. Without these characters here to have a grasp on these concepts, it spreads chaos. Get it? The whole chaos being trapped in the fucking chest and then it gets out. Speaking of chaos, chaos itself in the God of War universe is a being that has been around since the time of the primordials. It is a formless, shapeless, conceptual being. And Zeus was able to take this formless, shapeless being, the literal concept of chaos, and lock it in a fucking box. Being the literal manifestation of a concept that is formless in a higher dimension.
Do we have a source for that?
Plane this form.
Do we have wait, a higher dimensional plane source?
It's not unheard of in the God of War universe. But
it's not unheard of in the God of War universe. Can we get a source for that, please? Can we get a direct source of a higher dimensional plane?
Can I get a source for Zeus locking chaos itself in there? I'd love to see that.
Chaos is in that box?
No. It's just stated that he takes essentially the fears that are born out of the Great War, like the evils, and seals them inside of the box. So that happens after the cosmology has already been formed during the Great War. But those things already existed in reality. They just manifested in a will of their own.
All right, let's continue.
Actually, Kratos goes one step farther than that, because I can see a legitimate argument people could make where they essentially say that, okay, so what is Kratos going to do? He's going to go off and kill Slanesh, the god of change, and then change will just cease to exist ever? Well, I mean, that's certainly an option.
Slanesh isn't the god of change. Slanesh is the god of pleasure and pain. Zeech is the god of change.
Even if, again, when Kratos kills the gods, the shit doesn't disappear either. Isn't there lightning after Zeus dies? Isn't it like a thunderstorm after Zeus dies?
There's literally a thunderstorm that is made as a result of you killing him. There is more thunder, not less.
Someone who is a concept, and then taking that concept for himself, basically he becomes the concept of the person that he just killed. So he goes off, kills Ares, who is the concept of war, the god of war, and then he himself becomes the god of war, ergo the concept of war. He's done.
Wait, hold up a minute. You are not arguing that every god Kratos kills, he becomes their concept, are you?
Done this a couple times. He did this with Thanatos.
Yeah, he's going to argue that. That's also not, you can't argue that as a position, because Kratos has a period of time after he kills Ares where he does not become their, actually, he never becomes their concept. That's never stated. That's an assumption made by the people in the world. That's also disproven directly by the games and by God of War 3.
Between God of War 1 and God of War 2 where Kratos is not the God of War.
Yeah, it's called Ghost of Sparta, and he's not officially the God of War until the very end of Ghost of Sparta.
Does it with hope when he opens
yeah.
Pandora's box. It's not just the power of hope. It's pretty, a simplistic way of putting it. Athena literally took the concept of hope and put it into a box, and Kratos took that concept and put it into himself. Technically, Kratos is not just the...
Kratos doesn't put it into himself the way you're implying, though. He just opened the box for a way to kill a god and got the power of hope. He didn't he didn't interact with it and force it into himself. It just flooded into him as a result of opening the box.
The God of War.
Yeah,
He's the
and
God
it's something that he has that gives him abilities, but like he didn't even consciously know that he still had it until the very end of the Greek games.
War, death, and hope. Death is a little iffy because he was gonna become the god of death, but he rejected it, like he didn't want it. So we're not actually sure if he legitimately took it on or not. I think you can argue he did, because if he didn't, then wouldn't death not exist? Like someone had.
So we are now making a massive assumption that he became the god of death along with the god of war in order to argue concepts still existing. But how does this work when he stops being a god?
This also has you basically questioning your own line of reasoning that you also made up, like mid-sentence.
Also,
So I would say this is incredibly shaky ground.
Well, this is just flat out disingenuous, because you are asserting a massive assumption in order to make your logic make sense. Let's continue.
Had to take on that concept. If it wasn't Kratos, then it
Never
was
stopped him
another.
before.
Someone is the new god of death. The assumption here is that it would
So someone is the new god of death. Source? Do you have a source as a new god of death?
be Kratos.
There is.
to his entire
I will clarify for people now. There is no source anywhere that states when a god dies that someone takes over their concept or someone has to take over their concept. Zeus's statement in the God of War 2 novelization directly disproves this as well, because when Ares dies, he says, "quote There is no lack of war down below." So it does not do anything to their power.
You can also argue Zeus himself disproves it, because at the final battle of God of War 3, he basically talks about how he's going to have to fix everything after you fucking done killing Kratos, meaning that he would have the power to fix all that chaos. So unless we're going to argue that Zeus just becomes the god of everything and takes all their concepts, which I'm assuming his position would be, he would just have the power to fix that shit on his own.
He's just going to argue that he was referring to the fact that he would have to kill Kratos and take back the concepts from him and then remake it.
Get Kratos to wipe out all the gods, and giving him more power would be a good way of actually doing that. She would have no reason to become the god of death herself, since at that time in her plan she had no use for it. But we know with 100% confirmation that he is the god of war, and he does have the concept of hope, which should also make him the god of hope. Yes, I know, it sounds like they took a fucking plot from Care Bears and took it into my God of War game.
That's basically the god of hope in fucking Ragnarok.
I am aware. So basically what would happen...
So is he criticizing Ragnarok's fucking Valhalla DLC with that one? That was like probably one of the better narrative beats in fucking Ragnarok.
The only narrative beat, let's be honest.
If Kratos ran into Slanesh, is he would kill Slanesh, and then he would take...
I'm gonna keep it a straight buck. As much as I love Shane on Warhammer, especially the Chaos Gods, because fuck the Chaos Gods, I'm actually just gonna argue if Kratos goes into the warp, there's a very good chance, even if you make him that strong, the warp just ends up beating Kratos after a while.
He gets hacked to death the moment he steps into it, because his mind would literally be tripping balls. In God of War Ascension, he walked into a room that was just having like the area be physically manifested with illusions, turned it into a whorehouse, and he's like, "All right, I better start like having sex with people." How the hell is he gonna walk up to Slanesh? How is he gonna do that? Like Slanesh is just gonna make him so down bad for like a random rock or something in the corner. That's not even like an actual person.
You ever seen that meme with that one character shaking their hands and licking their tongue? That's just gonna be Slanesh when Kratos shows up.
It's gonna be like that scene in like Scary Movie 5 where the person thinks that she's having sex with someone and she's just high, so high she's just banging like a plant in the corner. That's Kratos after like one interaction with Slanesh. Oh,
listen. These are not even. Oh, well, let's see what he has to say.
On the concept of change into himself becoming the new god of change. And that's the same way it would work with all the Chaos Gods. Yes, including Khorne. I know a lot of people want to argue that because Khorne is empowered by violence, any sort of violence that is used against him will just empower him. That's true, but a lot of people argue that as if just because someone uses violence against him, that makes him instantly stronger than they are, which that part's not true. Just because the violence that someone uses empowers him doesn't mean that Khorne automatically becomes more powerful than the person utilizing that violence. That doesn't even...
That is a valid... It's so weird, because as long as it's not fucking Kratos, there's rational thoughts there.
It really makes sense.
It's like his brain turns on when you remove God of War.
Happen.
But then like you bring in God of War, it's like, oh wait, hang on, Kratos though.
to blow up whole universes, and Kratos has the ability to blow up whole multiverses, and they got.
Let me go back from complete 343.
Why would that happen? Theoretically, if Korn has the ability to blow up whole universes, and Kratos has the ability to blow up whole multiverses, and they got into a fight, it's not like just because Kratos is fighting Korn, Korn would also be able to blow up multiverses. He would get stronger from the fact that Kratos is fighting against him, but like he's not going to suddenly multiply in power to become a fucking multiverse buster just because one dude who can blow up multiverses is fighting against him. There's nothing in the Warhammer 40k lore that supports that. That's just fans reading certain descriptions and then just fucking running with it. Like, wait.
Oh, did you hear what he said about the fans just reading certain descriptions of
Yeah, and reading descriptions and running with it. Bro, you haven't provided a single description. You've created descriptions out of nothing.
This is such a weird video, because, like, there's a lot he says where I'm like, all right, good on you, man. Yeah, good choice, good choice. And then there's other stuff he says where I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? These don't correlate.
I told you just to wait a while. He delivered, didn't he?
Man, is so strong in this war.
Harder than they were meant to. So yeah, overall, Kratos is winning this. We actually see visually on screen the Primordials doing considerably more impressive shit on a destruction standpoint than we see.
Okay, again, the on-screen depiction of the Primordials is a retell. Well, no, is it stated in the games that's just like a visual representation or no?
No, that's provided by the writers.
Okay,
They tell you on Twitter that what you are seeing is just the depiction, but he doesn't accept that.
Okay, then we're not gonna I'm not gonna say it because he would not accept that. Although to clarify, the Norse pantheon has their own creation myth, and Kratos just walked and sailed there. Same with Egypt and everything. So someone's wrong about the creation.
So I just want to point out that like you can't even sustain the position that Kratos is consistently unique because every pantheon also believes the same thing. So, like as Zim said, if all of you claim that the God created the universe and you all have a different God, you can't all be correct.
Ironically enough, despite being a massive fucking liar, the only guy we know who actually saw the creation of the universe was Odin, according to his own words.
According to his own words.
Again, I know he lies about everything, but technically he's the only eyewitness you have for this shit.
Anything that the Chaos Gods have done. And the gods that come out before the Primordials, like the Titans and the actual gods, are shown to be even more powerful than they are.
Hang on. I must have misheard that.
And the gods that come out before the Primordials, like the Titans and the actual gods, are shown to be even more powerful than they are, given that they completely...
The gods that come out before the Primordials are shown...
There is no gods.
Hang on.
There are no gods that show up
like
before
the Titans and the actual gods are
I think he meant
to be even more
Titans.
powerful than they are, given that they completely fucking wipe them out. That on top of...
So what, they are more powerful than they are. Again, the Primordials killed themselves. The gods and the Titans in the lore of God of War did not kill the Primordials, except I think you could argue that...
Just Kratos fighting Uranus. But like we don't see that fight. We don't see that fight though. And considering how Zeus... No. Considering how Zeus took out his father... I don't believe for a second that Kratos challenged him to a fair fight, especially if it's anything like it is in the actual myth.
Well, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure the guidebook confirms that Kronos does it the way it's done in the myth. Because for those of you who don't know how that fight went down in the myth, Kronos waits for Uranus to start banging Gaia, and then chops off his balls while he's having sex.
It's like saying, like, man, I killed my father because I delimbed him with, like, a special weapon while he was completely off guard, banging his wife.
The fact that Chaos Gods don't have a single hacks that Kratos hasn't been shown being able to resist makes it basically impossible for any of them to actually...
The fact that the Chaos Gods don't have a single hacks that Kratos hasn't been shown to resist. Bro, you named 4 resistances.
Name, like, bro, what is he doing when he gets affected by madness manipulation inflicted by Zeech?
So to clarify, he mentioned in the Kratos section that he'll bring up other shit as it's relevant. Okay? So let's talk about the Chaos God taxes that can be a threat and provide the evidence of how Kratos resists it. Like, you don't have to mention everything, but you just keep offering these blanket statements that Kratos resists. And you didn't even say everything Kratos resists.
You do understand that, like, Zeech has every single, like, sorcery and power in, like, the magic system in Warhammer, right? Like, he could just shoot warp fire at you he could just itemize you in like a second. Like what is that gonna like? What's Kratos gonna do that would like resist that? What's he gonna do when he sees Slanesh and Slanesh manipulates his emotions and his perception into thinking she's a beautiful woman that he needs to bang? Because that has worked on Kratos multiple times in a single game. Actually, multiple times in every game, because you literally have mini games where you go over these like two hookers at a time and you bang them. So Kratos is absolutely just that guy that like sees a group of women and is like, sex objects, wonderful. You're really telling me the god of beauty and like pain and pleasure is not going to be able to manipulate his senses when ordinary women with no powers can do it? That's crazy.
That's wild.
Come him. Yes, chaos corruption exists in the God of War universe, and it does not affect Kratos. The power of hope.
Okay. So chaos corruption exists in the God of War universe, does not affect Kratos. So to clarify as well, that would fall. You are arguing that the chaos corruption is the same as it is in a different verse. That's not how that works.
That's a nominal fallacy.
Okay,
Nominal fallacy.
Yeah.
So you're arguing chaos, like the entity that exists that like predates the Greek pantheon, is the same thing as chaos in God of War or in Warhammer, because they're both named chaos. That's so stupid.
That's not how that works. And you should know better.
Yeah.
Especially since you threw out all that shit about how fallacies are ridiculous and shit.
That he has makes him completely immune to it. Also, first, and it does not affect Kratos. The power of hope that he has makes him completely immune to it.
Why would the power of hope make him immune? Can you provide any sources for what the power of hope actually fucking does? Like that's like it's not talked about in the games all that much. It has like
I heard a lot of shit about you saying that you were better than like other power scalers about this, that they were nonsensical, and yet unlike or actually just like all the other God of War scalers for the last several years, not a single one of them have been able to prove that the power of hope actually does anything. They haven't provided any statements, and you haven't either.
That's okay though.
So in terms of Pantheon, this is like the smallest one. There's 4 chaos gods. So you can't even necessarily say that it would take all that long for him to actually.
Artless AI voiceover feature allows you to turn your words into voices you never
do it. Last but certainly not least, we have the ancient gods from Doom. And yeah, this is pretty much where Kratos stops. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie at all. There are a couple of abilities that Kratos has that's super, super good.
Wait, the ancient gods beat Kratos? Hold on.
Gonna help him here. Like, for instance, the fact that he has the power of hope will completely shield him from the Doom demonic corruption. It literally is stated to make him immune to corruptions. And while
is the power of hope literally stated to make Kratos immune to corruption, Mangler?
No, it's never stated. The power of hope is not actually stated ever as a phrase one time in the entire like God of War franchise, because power of hope is a fan-made term. They just call it hope.
All right.
And it's only talked about in one scene.
Corruption is significantly more powerful of a corruption than the one that's in God of War, which is true. How do you even properly argue that Doom demonic corruption is significantly more powerful of a corruption than the one that's in God of War, which is true?
You're aware that there are different levels of ability, so why Warhammer gets shafted?
Also, there are different types of corruption. There's corruption that can affect like your soul, parts of your biology, your mind.
Now I'm actually confused. Like, do you just not like Warhammer? What the fuck happened there?
Not when God of War gets brought up.
True. How do you even properly measure that to see if his resistance would be high enough to deal? It would just, I don't know. I feel like you're just kind of throwing shit at the wall at that point. If the power of hope is specifically stated to make him immune to corruption, I'm going to take it at its word and say that he's immune to corruptions, including the demonic corruption. Not going to save him.
It is never stated to make him immune to corruption.
And also, the way you would do this is you would compare the corruptions across how far they can corrupt you and determine resistance based on that. Because...
Yeah, you wouldn't just assume it.
Well, no. Actually, I take that back, because I was about to say that's a no-limits fallacy, but he doesn't agree with that. So, in his perspective, that would be a valid position. But that's
it would just be a no evidence position. Like, you're arguing they're both corruption because they're called corruption. Therefore, they do the same thing. It's like, no, you have to prove that.
This is wild.
Characters in this game that can fucking kill him. Kratos has never destroyed a whole universe. He's never fought anyone who has destroyed.
Kratos has never destroyed. Hold on.
created a whole universe.
Kratos has never destroyed a whole universe. He has never fought or created a down earlier than for the Celestials.
How is he beating Ozra or the Celestials then? I understand.
He
Like
created the universe. Okay, fine. Well, whatever.
There's no one being that is capable of creating an entire universe. In the entirety of God of War, the universe in the Greek games were created by the primordials, but it was all of them together killing the fuck out of each other that created the universe.
Are you talking about the Norse games?
It's not just
No. Because if we say Ymir created the universe on his own by Odin stabbing him, that wouldn't be no.
There's something else. Go to 37:15.
Oh.
Even in the Norse games, there is a multiverse in the Norse games, but none of the Norse gods are actually responsible for creating it. And even in that game, he is shown to be significantly overpowered by characters like Surtur.
Okay. So to be clear, Ymir is responsible technically for the creation of that multiverse in God of War, but that would be after Odin stabbing him and his blood became basically everything, is how it would work. Now, there is an argument that Odin used it to make the multiverse, but we have no evidence of that. Based on Surtur overpowering Kratos, though.
This isn't up to that level where he's just shattering fucking universes. It's just not happening. But in Doom...
Because I don't understand why... I don't understand why he's so reasonable about Kratos' power here, but...
I'll give you the answer. It's because he wanks Doom even higher than God of War. You think God of War wank is strong? You have not seen how he feels about Doom.
There's literally a limitless number
Doom is like
of gods, all of which are capable of destroying and creating whole universes. Davith just passively creates universes simply by...
Hold on. Can I go back here a minute?
Universes. It's just not happening. But in Doom, there's literally a limitless number of gods, all of which are capable of destroying and creating whole universes.
Are there a limitless number of gods to begin with? Is that confirmed?
No.
Is it confirmed they can create or destroy universes? Because Davlop sure as hell fucking...
No. So what is confirmed, if Rogu actually read the codexes, is that the creation feats in Doom are specifically done by the engines of creation, which exist inside the void. They are giant technological, like non-physical pieces of technology that exist in the void prior to the multiverse, and Davoth manipulated them to create the multiverse. So he's using technology for that feat. It wasn't his own power.
All right, let's continue.
Davith just passively creates universes simply by existing.
Davith creates universes by existing. We already covered
and
that.
had all intentions of just straight up erasing all of existence after his fight with Doomguy. Doomguy is capable of fighting against Davith on par, and literally none of Davith's infinite fucking hacks that he has was able to affect Doomguy in any...
What hacks does Davith even have?
None. He never shows any, nor does he actually have any statements for them.
There is not a single hacks that Kratos has that he will be able to successfully use against Doomguy or Davith, and likely won't be able to use it against any of the Demon Lords either, who used to...
Okay, I'm gonna be honest for a minute. Does Doomguy even have soul resistance? Like, does he have resistance to soul destruction?
To some extent, I guess. If you want to argue, he resists blows from the Baron of Hell.
Okay.
Or not the Baron of Hell, the Armored Baron, because there is a statement in Ancient Gods that the Armored Baron's blows basically break both body and soul.
I remember Cyber told me about that, actually. Now that you brought out the Baron, yeah, okay.
But that's operating under the assumption that Doomslayer ever gets hit by him. Which we can't prove.
By demonic corruption. Many of these characters, like Doomguy, is shown to have all of the same resistances that Kratos does. Both characters are...
Which is none?
Above the concept of time.
Yeah,
completely
I mean, to be fair, he's technically not wrong about that. They have both shown the same level and evidence for resistance.
Okay, so to be fair, I think Doomguy actually has better codex statements.
Both characters can destroy conceptual
No, he doesn't.
and manipulate conceptions. Both characters are...
Wait, manipulate concepts? Can I get a source for either of them?
Immune to being a...
Can I get a source for Doomguy destroying concepts or manipulating them at all? Please?
Or both characters can destroy conceptual beings and manipulate conceptions. Both characters are immune to being erased.
Also, it wouldn't be manipulate conceptions, it'd be manipulate concepts. Technically.
From existence. Both characters are immune to corruption.
Okay, English major.
manipulate conceptions. Both characters are immune to being erased from existence. Both characters are immune to corruption. Both characters can destroy souls, on and on and on. The only difference is that Doom Guy is doing it at a way higher level. Like a way higher level. It's not even close. Like, I don't think Kratos could even damage him. Like, he won't even be able to actually harm him if he hit him with his weapons. Also the fact, which is something that I'm not 100% sure I should even bring up, because I'm not sure if it's fair necessarily. Then again, fights aren't necessarily about being fair. Characters like Doom Guy and David are...
I just want to point out, like, why are we talking about Doom Guy at all? Because Doom Guy is not a part of the pantheon of...
Yeah.
No, he's not a part of the pantheon of gods. He's not a god.
No, yeah. So this would more accurately be a Davot versus Kratos would be the...
Yeah, Davos and the Father and the rest of the gods versus them. Maybe the Makers, if you want to be generous.
Primevals. They are a being greater than that of gods. Gods do exist in the Doom universe, but primevals are more so than them. Only a primeval can kill another primeval. They are completely immune to damage or death from any...
Only a primeval can kill another primeval. Isn't the Icon of Sin a primeval?
No, he's a Titan. And no, if you're wondering if there's a statement for that, no, that is never stated. That is never stated that way verbatim, ever.
Okay.
Beings. Nothing like this exists in God of War. In God of War, you have the Greek gods,
Even
and then
implied.
their parents that were the Titans, and then their parents the...
Hang on. He said nothing like that exists in God of War. Didn't he just say that only gods can kill gods in God of War? Hang on, let me go back real quickly.
Yep.
A primeval can kill another primeval. They are completely immune to damage or death from any of the lower beings. Nothing like this exists in God of War. In God...
He literally said earlier that only gods can kill gods in God of War. So there would be a being that exists like that in God of War. It'd be the gods, because that's what you said.
God of War, you have the Greek gods, and then their parents that were the Titans, and then their parents the Primordials, but the Primordials are never shown to be above that of God or some higher level. They're just first. The Primevals aren't first. Primevals are just brought into existence by the multiverse when the multiverse needs that primeval to exist. They are brought into existence out of necessity, and many of which are created for the sole purpose to destroy universal level gods. That is not the case for any character in God of War or Kratos himself. It's very possible that even if Kratos does have the ability to destroy concepts, he still...
Wait. Doom Guy's a primeval, right? And Davot's a primeval?
Doom Guy is not a primeval.
Okay.
Be able to kill Davith or Doom Guy, because they're both kind of beyond that. Davith does have the ability to blink all concepts out of existence with a thought, but can't do that to Doom Guy.
Davot has the ability to blink out all concepts out of existence with a thought. Can I get a source for that?
Doesn't exist. I already went through all the Doom games.
Yes, just straight up kill him with
I
his
can tell you
bare
right
hands,
now.
which is the same exact thing that Kratos is going to have to do. But given the massive gap in power between these two series, he ain't going to be able to do that. So Doom Guy wins. Or, well, Doom as a whole wins. But yeah, Doom Guy's a part of it. Doom Guy and Davith, both of them win. They win by like a massive fucking margin. And honestly, this isn't even a situation where Kratos and Doom Guy wouldn't actually fight, because Kratos, as he was in God of War 3, would absolutely be an enemy to Doom Guy. Doom Guy's going to kill him. Doom Guy's going to massacre him because he kills so many. He kills millions of people. Oh my god, would Doom Guy kill him? Wouldn't even be close. But that's all I have for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. Remember, join the membership. You get exclusive access to unique videos that no one else gets. And don't forget to check down below in the pinned comment where you will get a link to the Discord as well as my second channel, where I have all manner of different videos that are not survival channels. And by all manner, I say two, but you know what? There'll be more. Don't worry about it. So if you want to hear me talk about other things...
All right. So, that's the video. Any final thoughts? Already close out.
Sources? Where were they? They didn't exist. I mean, I wasn't expecting them for Rogue. I've seen several of the videos on his channel before, but I was at least expecting something when he constantly keeps bringing up other examples from people, because he feels comfortable going and sourcing statements made by other people and looking at them. But then when he makes his script or whatever, but then when he actually has time to provide the evidence, he never provides a source or a statement.
So you've seen some of his videos before then.
Yeah.
So I guess I just seen what he says for Doom. That was wild.
To be fair, he's never really provided sources anyway.
To be fair.
It's just every single time he talks about a verse that he either A, doesn't like, or B, disagrees with, usually the second one, he will just claim that position is wrong for some like stupid roundabout reason, referencing the scan in question, but he'll never apply that standards to the verses that he's comparing that one to, especially if it's a verse he's repping. So if he's repping Doom or God of War, he will never hold them to those same standards or provide the scans or the evidence.
That's wild. So would you like to know how long this recording is?
2 hours.
We are about to hit the 50-minute mark of the second hour. So
Nice.
it'll be over 2 hours. Wow, that was a roller coaster ride. That was also, so at this point so the audio was good. I don't think there was any music, which I didn't notice, which is good on, his, well, I guess that's because we were at 1.25 speed, so it was probably going too fast for me to even notice the blank silence, which is good. That's good. Not every video needs music. I think he just kept rehashing the same clips over and over and over again. And I don't know why. So when you make a video this in depth, ideally, you would have to spend time editing. But it feels like what this guy did is to save as much time as possible. He sectioned off his audio bits and then just had the same things looping over and over again. Which, to be fair, I've done when I'm lazy too. But man, there were so many claims that needed a couple scans here and there. Oh man.
I've never seen someone claim that a character could beat a resistanceless character like Kratos, who resists fuck all in his own games and dies to practically everything. Like I want to point out that this character dies to so many things. They created QuickTime events in the gameplay and had direct statements in the novel to depict how many different ways he dies to the most random shit in his own pantheon. And you're claiming he's going to survive the Celestials with an amount of hacks that I quote, there's so many that we don't have time to list them all. Okay, great. Then Kratos should be dead on arrival.
I would just like to point out as well, probably the biggest glaring issue is how he would bring up lesser examples of characters dying or characters being beaten by lower people, and then would just completely ignore it for Kratos. Like, I don't understand how you get that far and not realize how hypocritical that makes your position.
No need. There's no need to worry about it. Because you can trust him, bro.
Valid.
He's got the source.
Valid, of course.
Yes.
Kind of like how Hermes being lights. I find it funny that he disproves all the higher tier scaling for God of War, but then is like Hermes is light speed, so that boulder to hit Hermes on the tower was also moving at the speed of light.
Wait, so that's the thing I didn't understand. He would claim that God of War is like slightly faster than FTL, right? Then, like, in his logic, how did the primordials manage to create the universe? Because he understands that, like, if you're creating a solar system, that wouldn't be moving at the speed of light, right? A solar system is much, much bigger than the distance light can travel in a second. In fact, it actually takes multiple light years to leave a solar system at the speed of light.
Yes,
so how exactly would you reconcile that?
Don't worry about it.
He doesn't seem to be bothered with being faster than the speed of light, even though he says, like, you can't stick multiple universes inside of a tree because that's not based on reality, but it's fine for us to go faster than light because people can create universes and stars.
So to be as fair to him as possible, what he said specifically was he disagreed with the position that a tree that holds up multiple universes is inherently multiversal in durability. So his disagreement.
No, his disagreement was that that's not possible because that's not how that works in reality.
No. Okay, so I'm fairly confident the disagreement was the durability, not the tree itself existing. It's been a while since we were there.
You are wrong. You are wrong. I remember exactly what he said. He obviously disagreed with the position. You're correct. But he disagreed with it for multiple reasons, and that was one of the reasons.
I also like for every disagreement he gave for God of War, some of them were good, and the others were just like, you got the right answer with the wrong word, but good job, I guess.
Also, false equivalencies, and just like double standards. Like, what is the basis for lightning being faster in God of War, but then, like, Black Bolt screams being slower or the same speed of sound? Because they're sound based. Like, what was the evidence for that exactly?
Clearly, we just weren't ready for this level of comprehension, Mangler. We just weren't.
I was not ready for his absolute confidence to state things with just no level of evidence. I mean, I'm used to that, but this time actually baffled me because I've never. The thing is, I'm used to people claiming a lot of crazy things about Kratos' abilities and kits and arguing he can resist a lot of stuff, even though that's not true. I've never been in a situation where a person has argued Kratos could resist hacks on the level of a celestial. That he has resistance to all of those things. And he brings up the novels, so he's completely fine with the novels. I'm like, did you not read them? Do you know how many times he almost dies to fodder in the series because he doesn't have a resistance to their ability? The man almost gets blinded from basic poison from a cave scorpion. You really think he's going to survive getting, like, Thanos snapped out of existence? Come on.
Oh, that's wild. All right, so I don't have much to say here on this one.
Did you have fun? Did you have fun, at least?
You know what, Mangler? It's 3 hours into this almost. I will say I did end up having fun, actually. I had fun for the reasons I wasn't expecting, but that was definitely a ride. I was not.
So sorry to interrupt you. One last point, Rogu. If you see this video and you disagree with what we have to say, we also have our streams where we're available, where you can come talk to us. And much like you, we have, well, actually, unlike you, sorry, we have many videos on the topic explaining our scaling on God of War, where we actually provide evidence and we script in videos with plenty of editing to explain the scans and things that we talk about, and we can directly source them from memory, or we can point to you where we get the sources from. We're always available on a weekly basis.
I'm actually going to have to refresh my DMC knowledge. It's a little lacking right now. Lots changed.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's also not the only series that we can source them from. We can source them for every series here. I think Marvel would be the only one we would have a little bit trouble for. We could do it for
Marvel, anything regarding direct comics that is not from a game specifically is probably going to be the hardest thing to work with.
But we have people for that can get those things as well. But point is that we can get like 90% of everything here, and we can get to you in like a second. It would not take us that much time.
Yeah. I mean, so some exaggerations here and there, but yeah, we more or less know where everything is. So I was just not prepared for that level of confidence, that level of being wrong and then being right at the same time, along with just having no self retrospect or like no introspection of saying the exact shit you could apply to Kratos with a straight face and not even recognizing how badly that works for Kratos.
I wonder if he had to do multiple takes for this video. Because cocaine is a hell of a drug.
That's right. But yeah, no, that's obviously just a joke in case fucking he gets pissed.
It's a joke. I'm not obviously arguing he's high on cocaine. It's a phrase to mean like you can do silly things when you're in a silly mindset.
I'm just gonna make that clear in case when this video ends up dropping for non-members, it'll be.
We're just arguing he's being ridiculous. We're just
the whole video. They never watched the whole fucking video.
They never watched the whole video. They never watch and sit around for us to clarify our positions. We're just saying he's being silly and ridiculous because he said a bunch of silly and ridiculous things that didn't provide evidence. And we have 3 hours of video footage to prove that.
We're almost at 3 hours, mainly. We're at 2 hours and 57 minutes.
Okay, we're not technically 3 hours, but whatever.
Hold on.
Doesn't matter.
We're almost there. It's only 3 more minutes.
You just want to drag this out for another 3 minutes? Are you really going to do this?
Absolutely drag this out for another 3 minutes because the only
people all right. So
are going to be people who actually want to watch.
They're like, okay, listen, guys, if you don't make it to the 3 hours, you're a fraud.
So okay, regarding the Chaos Gods for a minute, do you think?
Yes.
Do you think so? Slanesh has a very easy out there, but like. Who would probably have the second easiest time? Because Slanesh has like easy mode.
Zeech, atomize him, flick his fingers. So literally every ability that you see Magnus the Red doing is just an ability that Zeech would have. Any sorcery or things that they produce in the series, like warp fire, warp electricity, which I could actually provide evidence for why warp electricity and warp fire are not the same thing as normal fire, because they're made of psychic matter. They're literally not even composed of the same types of atoms or particles that make up things in the universe. So you have to prove you can actually resist those things, and they're blatantly shown to basically burn through any types of material or stuff in reality. Plus, warp fire is like, I mean, it's literally fire from like hell itself that can also like burn your soul. Not to mention they can attack your soul. They can produce weapons that can like destroy your soul. We've already pointed out that Kratos doesn't really resist his soul manipulation. Zeech can drive him mad as well. Zeech could just send him visions of the future that would drive him insane. Zeech could just mess with his mind. Kratos has no resistances to mind manipulation. Like God of War Ascension points out multiple times, he gets put under illusions of every single type or variety. He never breaks out of them a single time. He requires an item to activate when he's aware he's in an illusion, and that can dispel a physical illusion, not a mental one. He gets constantly trapped in them all the time and cucked by them in every instance. So Zeech, the god of change, is probably going to be able to play 4D chess with his mind, like a chew toy.
I like how it was Kratos versus the Pantheons, and we got maybe 2 Pantheons.
I love how he never brought up Nurgle, which is hilarious. Nurgle, the god of like pestilence. Okay, so I want to point this out because they
Asmongold have to do with this, Minglis?
yeah, as we go. So I want to point this out because the Horus Heresy makes it clear that the premier Space Marine Legion that he takes over is the Death Guard. They literally spend all these books about the Death Guards, gassing the Death Guard up to tell you they're not affected by any of the poisons in like the known universe. So much so that they literally go around to planets during the Great Crusade and they drink new like poisonous toxins made of stuff that they chemically mix together to enhance their resistances, to the point where other Space Marines do not have their chemical resistances. And then Mortarion, their gene father, basically has statements that he's resistant to like every single type of plague, including the Life Eater virus, which is the virus that eats away your entire atoms, like instantly.
So
and he's not affected by that. And when he gets caught in Nurgle's like little like warp storm, they point out like, yeah, even though you are like pretty powerful, you're eventually going to get contaminated by this. And his poison resistance is absurd. His brothers point out they cannot resist the things that Mortarion can survive, and Mortarion still would have been cucked by Nurgle's poison.
That's wild. But all right, we have achieved the 3-hour mark, so we can actually call it.
Yes. So I'm just saying that every single one of them has a trademark hacks that is a passive ability, covers the entire area. It could cover a planet or something way larger than that. Kratos would not know what's there. He would have no way to tell, and he would be affected by it before he could leave, and he would succumb to it.
Oh, that's wild. Good confidence, good gusto in this video, but fuck me, that was all right.
The confidence was unwarranted.
All right, so I had fun, and it was a decent video.
No, I appreciate the confidence. I just thought it didn't make sense.
Yeah. So with that said, thank you guys for your time as always. I hope you guys had fun making it to this far into the video, and I'll see you guys on the next streamer video. You guys have yourself a nice day or night. Take care, everybody.